Howdy, everybody. This is week number 3 of Riverman and myself, Aaron, our nostalgia talks when we go down memory lane and we talk about things that made an impression on us, things that we bond over with our friendship, not necessarily while we knew each other, just growing up shit. Week number 1, we talked about high school. It was a great starting topic. And last week, we talked about movie theater experiences, which is obviously very relevant to our other stuff and our podcast. If you guys follow us on YouTube, Revival House, and listen to all our podcasts, obviously movies are prevalent. This week, though, we're going down and we're going to talk about jobs. And that's something that everybody can relate to. So for me, the way I'm doing it is I literally just made a list of every job that I've had. And let me tell you, I was blown away. I mean, I knew I had all these jobs, but when I actually saw it listed in front of me, like, shit, I've had 16 jobs, which
That's pretty impressive.
it sounds weird to me because I've always, for the most part, held down my jobs for good periods of time. I didn't just like quit jobs, but some of these were like early kid jobs where they didn't last long. And some of them were jobs that I worked alongside some of the long, second jobs. So, but I made a list. And obviously, some of them have more heft than others, but I'm going to go through them all. I'll spend the applicable amount of time that I should on each type of job. I don't know how many jobs you've had, Riverman, but
Not that many,
not that
honestly.
many.
No.
So I could easily I'll pace it out. I'll go through sort of the small ones. I won't spend too much time on them, but I'm going to go through my experiences with each one of them. But I don't know anybody that had early jobs that were good. Who did? I feel
Nobody.
like it's only now in my life that I've got more comfort in my work. But, as a kid, I don't think anybody appreciates you. You're kind of working shittier jobs. You're fighting to make a decent wage. You're getting taken advantage of left and right. It's all that stuff. So, is there anything though? But before we get into that, we always like to talk about what's new. We just shoot the breeze a little bit, a little how you doing, how you been type stuff. Riverman, before we started streaming this, Riverman was looking at the trailer for the Maxine movie. Ty West, it's turning into quite the budding franchise really fast.
Which is good for him because the first film was a pretty good success in the box office, I believe, especially in the horror community. But yeah, this is just a little teaser trait. It's a promo. They really don't say anything or do anything. They just show like an overhead shot of the hills in LA. And it says Maxine instead of the Hollywood sign. But
So this is going to be a sequel to the first one, like what she was doing after, obviously, because she was going to become a star.
After X, yeah.
Yeah, after X.
Which this one takes place in 1985, so
That's
we'll
cool.
get.
It looks like it. It's got that Maximum Overdrive type font.
Mm-hmm. So, and of course, Ty West, he's perfect when it comes to the nostalgia kick on all these films. He knows how to direct, throw the music in there, score the music. It'll be solid, I believe. I'm looking forward to it as well. So, I like how he's doing this stuff now, and not. I wasn't a big fan of his Western he was doing, and there's a few other things
I never saw the Western.
But I'm glad he's sticking to more genre type of movies, the horror genre. So
That's cool. Anybody notice that we're matching?
yeah,
I changed the background to something more vibrant, and Todd showed up wearing what he is wearing, and I'm like, well, I got to match. I feel like we're going for a theme here. It almost feels like Husker Day in Nebraska.
yeah, not so much anymore because they just fired their coach. So
Oh,
yeah.
how many coaches does that make for Huskers?
Oh, like what?
A million? They
Like
fire their
6 in
coach
the
every couple
past
of
20
years.
years or something. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite a few.
Well, let's see what's new with me. Nothing's new with me. I don't know if I haven't watched any movies well, that's a lie. Maybe I watched something. I'm going to check it out real quick. What I've been watching during the work week when I chill out for a couple hours before bed is I've just been going back and watching Married with Children.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through that whole series not that long ago, but it's just a show I can revisit every 6 months. It's something I can put on as comfort food and just kind of relive. And I had an epiphany. I don't know if the epiphany is the right word, but it was a particular episode. I think it's the episode where Al Bundy was getting dunked on constantly because he was basically the word spread around that he only lasted like a second in bed. I think that's the
Really.
one. And it was just like, anyway, and everybody's dunking on him. And Marcy and Jefferson Darcy, they come over, and of course they're making jokes and stuff. And Jefferson makes a point of saying his age, and it wasn't right because he goes, "Oh, Al, when I'm your age in 20 years," I'm like, "Wait, what?" Because Al was the way they put it in the show was that he would have been like 25, like, and this is season 7. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Jefferson Darcy is
No,
20, nah. And so I
no.
looked it up, and I looked up his wiki, and yeah, he was actually 10 years older. So, but
Mm.
still, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I am fucking older than Jefferson Darcy was in season 7 of Married with Children, and I don't feel like it, and I don't look like it because I'm looking at Jefferson Darcy, and it's probably all like a mental thing because these are people I watched growing up as a kid, and they were always older than me. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Jefferson Darcy. But then when you actually surpass them in age, it's weird.
Well, I saw, speaking of that, I saw a photo on Facebook. Somebody put like the ages of all the cast members from Cheers, and I'm older than all of them now. From what yeah.
Cliff Clavin, dude.
No, there was one that was like in his 60s. Was that him?
You're
But
talking
the
about Coach. Coach was the old man, and Coach died after
yeah,
the first couple of seasons, and he got replaced by Woody.
yeah.
So
But
you must be talking about like when the series started, maybe.
yeah, because Ted
'Cause
Danson was like 35, and
Because
then
it's possible you were older than Cliff when the show started, but there's no way you were older than Cliff Clavin or whatever when the show ended.
no.
Because it was on for a long ass time, But no, it's crazy. And to me, like I said, maybe it's just because I view myself a different way. In my mind, I feel a certain age. But I look at Jefferson Darcy, Ted McGinley,
Mhm.
McKinley or McGinley, whatever. And I look at him like, no, he looks like he's about 40, and I don't feel like that. And maybe it's because back then in the early 90s, because we're talking about the early 90s, they had a certain hairstyle, the way they dressed, dude, it just made them look older too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just, yeah, and I tried to remove all that. I'm like, man, would he pass as younger? But and yeah, obviously I think people these days, our generation, we're not dressing as old. I
No,
mean, I don't know. You kind of embrace the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses and stuff like that. I think you wear the New Balances and stuff.
I don't. No, I don't wear New Balances. I don't
Oh,
wear.
I thought you were
Yeah.
totally leaning into the dad bod stuff.
No.
I told you were like Jorts, dude.
I only wear the Adidas Ultra Boost because they're the only comfortable shoe for me. I'm flat footed,
What's
so
what's the Ultra Boost? See, I always have a pair of what are they? Just the Grand Courts, the ones that are like cloud foam. I always have a pair of those.
they're the premium Adidas ones. So they're great. They last forever too. So
Are they a flashy shoe, like a basketball shoe, a running
no,
shoe, or
they're
are they a
running
casual
running
shoe?
shoe,
They
running.
are a running shoe.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I've always got a running shoe too. I'm an Asics guy. I like Asics for my running shoes. I like something simple, basic bitch, like a Grand Court that has a lot of cushion for a casual shoe. But I've also got a pair of Air Max, right, as well.
I like Air Max, but they're not very comfortable. Not as comfortable as they used to be. I don't
They're
think.
comfortable in the sense that they're extremely snug. They wrap around my feet really tight, which
Yeah.
there's a place for that. But there's nothing that beats the Adidas that I'm talking about because they're easy to slip on and off, and they feel like you're walking on clouds for a while. And then I recently got Eva actually gave me a pair of boots for my birthday early because my birthday's next week, and she bought me a pair of Doc Martens. So some
Mhm.
really nice Doc Martens. And so which means I get to wear boots more than I probably want to, but they're really awesome. But boots aren't the most comfortable thing in the world. You know,
The only thing, one of the things you should never go cheap on is shoes and toilet paper. I mean, those are the two things that you're always on your feet and you always got to wipe your ass. So I never go
well,
cheap on either one of them.
but at the same time, cheap is also relative. Like I don't think you should ever go cheap on shoes as far as don't go shopping at Walmart. I almost said Kmart, like that's still a
Yeah,
thing. Don't go shopping at Walmart brand shoes and shit like that. They're gonna last however long they're gonna last. But at the same time, like you don't have to spend $800 on Yeezys either.
no,
So for example, like Grand Courts, I get them for like 70 bucks max, 60, 70 bucks, and those are fine. And the thing is certain lines of shoes are always going to make it down to that price range, and they might start out at like 150.
yeah,
So, you could get quality and not spend top dollar either.
no. I
Just don't
usually
buy the
spend
one
like
ply, Don't buy the
yeah,
one ply.
yeah. I usually stick around the 150 mark to below, and I usually go to like the prior year. So like
Mm.
Ultra Boost 21. It's like the same damn thing, but it's a year prior. I don't give a shit about the newest shoe out. So But I
Yeah.
just care about the comfort and the look.
Yeah.
What color shoes do you buy? See, I have white shoes for my occasional nicer venue, but I've been going black shoe just because it gets so damn dirty for me. So
Well, my Air Maxes are black,
mm.
and those have been getting a lot of wear lately because it seems like I've had those for a couple of years, but I didn't wear them. They were like my second and third string shoes with the year I got them, so they were basically like new at the start of this year. But I've been wearing them a lot this year, so those are getting some tread. And then I have a pair of just white and black classic Grand Court Adidas,
Mm.
and I have another pair of God, what are they? It's not the Grand Court, it's the classic shell toe Adidas.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of the name, but I've got red stripes of those ones, and I've got my Doc Martens, and I'll tell you what I've been wearing. Well, and I also have I actually have a pair of Under Armour running shoes. I got a lot of shoes, man, actually, now that I think about it, and some Asics. But I'll tell you what I've been wearing around the house. I've never been a slipper or sandal guy, but
Oh yeah, dude, that's
I've
all
been
I
wearing
wear.
I it's been a game changer because I hate it. I
Oh,
still
yeah.
don't. Yeah, but I still can't. These are like walking on pillows, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just they're great for support. They're ridged and shit. And I had to buy something because I've got a foot problem because I've got this insane ever since I got back from vacation from Disney World, right after Riverman was at my house. We dropped you off at the airport. The next morning we went to Disney World and we were there for a week. I came back from that trip and I just had immense pain in the ball of my foot. Like
Mhm.
kind of it almost felt like at the beach I stepped on a really sharp rock really hard and it just bruised my bone. But I didn't do that. So I just chalked it up to I walk a lot. I get a lot of steps and I walk barefoot, especially around my house. And I've got like hard floors on the bottom floor. And I just figured that was it. So I was limping, man. I couldn't even walk. So I bought those for support, and I think I'm healing now because I've been walking in them, and they feel great, and they stay on my feet, which is good.
See, and I never go barefoot in the house. I have house sandals or whatever that I slip on when I get home from work or whatever like that. But I just like the feeling of having shoes on all the time. It's
Mhm.
weird, but
Well, my whole thing with sandals in the past or slip-ons is I didn't like the feeling of having something flop around. It didn't feel, I don't know. It didn't feel as secure as a shoe, but maybe I just wasn't wearing the right ones because those things they fit snug. And just the way
yeah.
the bottoms are, they're all padded and cushy, like they're like an inch thick, and just they're ridged and they're wavy and they just feel good and they support me in all the right ways in my foot. So I
Oh,
feel no pain even when I was in real pain, I felt no pain walking on those. So and they don't fall off. So yeah, I'm spoiled. So probably get the same shit, man, when those get worn down.
absolutely. I was gonna talk to you about one thing that I have been watching is don't spoil it for me because I haven't finished it. It's Cobra Kai. So the new season of Cobra Kai.
I'm not done with it. I've been watching that. I think I just finished episode 7.
Okay, I'm in like 4 or 5, I think.
Okay.
And you know what? At first, I didn't know what to think about it. Um, and then I kind of just turned my brain off. I love Silver. I think he's a fantastic villain.
He's
I
an
think
over the top James Bond villain,
I love
except
him, dude.
we're talking about West Coast shopping mall dojos. But he's
Yes.
like he's so evil, man. And they
Yeah.
and
I
they
mean, he.
know they know
Go
how
ahead.
silly it is. They know
Yeah.
how silly the
Mhm.
fucking premise is. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, just yeah, his character. I mean, he's so manipulative when it comes to everything. And God, it's so easy to manipulate Daniel LaRusso because he gets
Yeah.
manipulated by everybody, which is hysterical.
Dude,
And
I was yeah.
Silver is
No,
just he's the perfect villain for the
and
show.
I was saying this to my mom because my mom loves it and I've been watching it with her. Eva fell off. She's not interested in the show anymore. But my mom's obsessed with it. So I've been watching it a couple episodes a day with her. And I said the same thing, man. Like, first of all, LaRu LaRusso takes the fucking bait every time.
Yep.
Every fucking time. Every time someone like, it could be Crease, it's
Mhm,
Silver. Silver says some shit and he takes the bait. Like they'll
mhm.
be in a public setting. He's trying to get him riled up to make him look bad. Part of his manipulation game. And he fucking takes the bait every time. And every time I'm like, well, he's not gonna take it this time. And he does. He takes a swing or does whatever. And you know what? The more the show goes on, the more and more Daniel LaRusso is my least favorite character on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny's is a way better character.
Yeah.
And Silver's a better character. Even the Japanese guy from the second one's a better character.
He's cringe though. I mean that's cringe, but it's funny, dude.
The whole story
It
is
is.
cringe. This guy came to help him take down Silver and Cobra Kai from Japan. And also, you would have saw this part. The fact that you saw the part where they met the henchman, right, from part 3 that now owns the furniture store.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that whole episode. I love how he after he talked to him, he's like, no, this is Daniel LaRusso. He seems like he should be a smart guy. He didn't realize he was entering the back of a furniture warehouse. It's in his town.
Yeah.
He thought it was like some like drug smuggling warehouse, some ring dude. And he realizes it's like, why are you stupid? Now you're like Johnny levels of stupid. And then his Japanese buddy comes through and he beat the shit out of like 10 of his employees, and none of them decided to sue the guy with the rich dealership for beating the shit out of him in Salt, dude. My ass, dude.
No, it's pretty bad. I mean, the whole kids part is bad. If it didn't have, the main characters in it, it'd be shit.
Oh yeah.
Like the water slide race, and that's so dumb. Like all those stupid, like
all the Degrassi aspects,
yeah.
the Degrassi part, yeah. That part's not for me, but you know what? I tolerate it.
But it's for kids. My kid liked watching it.
No, I tolerate it because I get it. They're trying to play to everybody, and I tolerate it. It's totally fine.
Smart,
but I don't give a shit about the love triangles between the tweens, dude.
No.
All that stuff. And the guy that looks like the kid that looks like Jonathan Brandis from Sequest, dude.
Yeah,
he's always giving that hard ass look. But I'm sorry. No matter how stern of a fucking mean mug you're trying to give every time you're eye fucking the camera, you're never going to look hard when you're that much of a pretty boy, when you look like you jumped out of a Gap ad. You're just never going to look hard.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly.
Like you look like you got dropped off by a modeling agency.
Well, my wife and I, we didn't remember Karate Kid 3. We haven't seen it in a long time. For some reason, I always thought Sasha Mitchell was that guy.
Yeah. He looks just like Cody, dude. He looks just like him.
But
my mom was like, "Oh no, he was on General Hospital."
Yeah,
Young and the Restless.
Yeah, he played Deacon.
He was on my soap operas.
Yeah, that's where you remember, because I used to watch that with my wife too, and she knew right away. And I was like, "Oh, I thought that was Sasha Mitchell."
But when he was young on the movie, he looked like Sasha Mitchell. Mitchell looked so much. It should have been Sasha Mitchell.
And I had to go to the IMDb because it's like, why the hell this isn't Sasha Mitchell, is it? So I had to go back and look, and I was like, he's not in the show. And come to find out, he wasn't in the original movie. So I was like, oh shit, where have I been?
Yeah, but it's really good. It's really enjoyable, and I will say, you said you might have made it to episode 5. What was the ending of the last episode you saw? And I'll tell you exactly. So I don't want to spoil anything. What was the ending?
So they told the kids that they were having a baby or whatever.
Okay.
And then I think they were just sitting around the dinner table or whatever. And
have you seen Kreese at all?
Yes. Okay. So Kreese is talking to the girl. The girl.
The girl. Okay. So
from those flashbacks.
From this point, it gets more amped up and good, right? Because now it's like we're involving Kreese, and everybody's getting involved, and
Well, episode 2, I was watching it with my wife, and I'm thinking in my head, I was like, has this jumped the shark? And then I just kept going. I was like, I'll just write it out. And I'm like, no, it hasn't, because Silver's so good in this, man. He's keeping the show afloat, in my opinion.
It gets really silly. Like there's a point that I don't think you're quite at yet, where it's like it turns into The Godfather. Like he's some mafia don. Like who the fuck is this guy? Like he's flying people in from all over the world to help him do his bidding on this evil plan. That's just to build like the Starbucks of dojos. What is going on here? And he's like, literally, they're playing like mafia style music, and he's wearing a certain suit, and he's just, it's so fucking bananas, but it's so over the top to where they don't take it seriously either.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I can't believe how good his acting. I mean, he's a cheeseball actor, but he's good, I think. I mean, he's very, for that role, I mean, he's so perfect for it.
He's great in Vampires too.
I don't remember that.
He's the lead vampire. He's the villain in John Carpenter's Vampires.
I don't remember it. I'll have to go back and watch it.
But he plays a good villain, over the top, whatever, and yeah, he's really good. But what else? I'll see really quick if there's any movies I've watched, then we can talk about shitty jobs. But I can't remember what we've been watching. and I just recently talked about all this shit on Cinema Enema that's not out yet. But the only thing, I guess I'll bring up, because I don't want to talk about too much because we already talked about it on another show. But Elvis, I watched that Elvis biopic, and did you watch it?
No, I don't like biopics, dude. I can't watch
Yeah,
that
it,
crap.
it was a lot like the Queen one, and all
Never
these.
saw it. No.
It's a lot like all these commercial biopics that are produced by the estate of the people they're representing, which you can never trust. On
Yeah.
paper, yeah, it's supposed to add a little bit of credibility when the biography is official, but
Mhm.
actually no, that should have you skeptical, because if it's official and it's coming from the horse's mouth, they're gonna change shit to make themselves look like good people all the time, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
homogenized. And then that's kind of what this is. They of course brush over. They don't talk about how old Priscilla was when he met her. The actor they have playing her in the scenes where they meet is like fucking 30.
Mhm.
and she just never changes. Like, okay, we're just gonna ignore that. But it was kind of more enjoyable than I thought it was gonna be, because I did enjoy the music, because I like Elvis and I like a lot of the songs and stuff like that. And some of the performances sold me, because at first I'm looking at these actors playing the roles and I'm like, this ain't Elvis. This ain't this guy. This ain't. But you know what? They did a good job. I was sucked in enough, but at the end of the day, it's very homogenized. Things are compressed. Eras are sort of compressed. As Zach put it, like he feels like Mandela effect, where I feel like the fat Elvis era lasted a lot longer than the last year of his life. And they do make it feel like that. And just, it is what it is. But yeah. Have you watched anything else besides
Uh,
Cobra Kai?
no, but one last thing I want to mention that you'll probably think it sucks, but I actually I enjoyed the new Ozzy album. I think it's pretty solid. I mean, it's
Did it
not
actually
great.
come out?
Yeah, it came out last Friday.
Oh,
And I thought the previous album was god awful shit, but this one is actually enjoyable. It's I don't know.
I'll have to
It's
listen to it. I
yeah.
listened to the last one and I thought it was okay. I mean, it didn't really feel like, I don't know, it didn't necessarily feel like an Ozzy album that I knew, just because of all the musicians that were on it. And but I didn't mind it. This one though, kind of, I read up about it. This one almost feels like it could be more schizophrenic, because it doesn't even have the same consistent musicians the whole thing. It's got different
Yeah.
guitar players and shit.
Mm.
Iommi's on there, Jeff
Clapton.
Beck's on there, Zach Wild's actually on there again. Plus you
Yeah.
have the Andrew Watt guy, and just, I don't know. Sometimes that can make an album sound like Chinese Democracy, where it lacks real identity. Even though I love Chinese Democracy, it sounds like a bunch of random great songs thrown together.
And I understand that. I mean, some of them, yeah, I could see that. But some of the songs I enjoyed. A handful of songs. I was like, hey, this is better than I thought it was gonna be a piece of
I'll listen
shit.
to
But
it.
yeah,
I wanted to listen to this one before I actually bought it,
yeah, mm,
and because I mean, like, if you guys are, if you want the vinyl, that vinyl's not going to go anywhere. You can still pick up his last album on vinyl. It's not going to go
yeah.
anywhere. So you can definitely try before you buy on that one for sure.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll listen to it. I'm sure I'll have some vinyl records coming my way next week. I already know my mom's getting me some stuff. So my girlfriend, I don't know if she's going to get me vinyl or not, or what's going on, but um,
Yeah, I have some things coming as well. So I'll just hold them in the box and then maybe just unbox them on screen if you want.
yeah. Anything you haven't told me about? I found some stuff that I didn't know if you're aware of last night. That was pretty
Oh,
cheap.
what's that?
Let me see. I bookmarked them, because they might be ones you're interested in. One of them was Pearl Jam 10, was only like $16.
Oh, okay. I don't
So I
have
don't know if you,
10.
yeah. And it's the one that's been out of stock since it came out, and now it's like available at like Walmart and stuff. It's the remastered, the double vinyl, where it's got the original and then it's got the remixes, and it's
Okay.
got the slightly altered cover. And but the original one too is also the same price.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but from what I understand, the remastered one comes with the original mix and the new stuff. So why wouldn't you get I don't know, why wouldn't you get
I
that one?
lose you?
No,
Oh, okay. What were you saying? The remastered on what?
I'm just saying, they're both in stock and they're both about the same price, dirt cheap. The original one and the anniversary one. So I don't know why you wouldn't want the nicer one, because it's got the original mix and the bonus shit. So whatever.
Yeah, I'd probably do that because I've been holding out to get 10 because there's there's a few that I still need. I'm not gonna get them all Pearl Jam
Mm,
albums. I have Live on Two Legs, which is phenomenal. Then I have Versus. I'll get
I
that
have
one, and then
verses. That's all.
but
That's all.
yeah,
I
some
would
of the other
get
ones I don't need to get.
I would get Vitology if I could get it for a good deal eventually. I'm not in a rush, but if I could find Vitology for a good deal, and I like how the vinyl sleeve is like that leather bound. It even has the texture and everything else,
Oh,
kind of
that's
like the
cool.
CD. Yeah, it's really cool. I saw it at Barnes and Nobles in the
Mm.
flesh, and it's pretty heavy duty. I'm trying to see what else. Oh, but they have some good records. Like I noticed they had Queen Night at the Opera for under $18. That's a good
Mm.
deal.
Mhm.
And they had the only Mastodon album I don't have, so I bought that for $17. Once More Around the Sun. So now my
Oh, okay.
Mastodon collection's complete because that one's been that one, and then the 10 they've been out of stock for a while. So I don't know if like some shit's just getting repressed or what, but good for me. Maybe one of these days I'll find Raining Blood again. Still not in stock, but
Yeah, I mean, they'll repress all this stuff. There's just so much crap that's been coming out. It's hard to keep up with now.
yeah, I don't buy I slow down.
Me
I don't
too.
I still get the occasional thing if I really like the Mastodon thing was I'm like, I have to get that. That's the only one, and it's been out of stock forever. And I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna get that. But anyway, enough about this shit. Let's talk about jobs, shitty jobs, because how many of these jobs were really good? I'll start. It sounds like I have a few more than Todd. Todd seems to be more of a responsible adult than I was. And I'm gonna pull up my list, and I'm gonna start with the most intro of introiest jobs. I was a paper boy. Were you a paper boy, Todd?
That was my first job too.
Okay. I don't remember how old I was. I was pretty young. I'm going to guess I was 11. I'm going to guess I was 11, and I'd be lying if I said it lasted a long time, but it didn't last too long. Maybe in my mind, it feels like it lasted forever, but now it's like you get older. It's like, shit, that wasn't any time at all. But I think I only got one paycheck out of it before I actually got fired.
I
I
eventually got fired too, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I got fired. My first job, I got fired technically, but nobody counts paperboy on a resume, dude. No one's gonna look at your paperboy job when you're 11. But and it wasn't necessarily my fault. It was just too much, man. Like I was really little when I was like 10 and 11. I was a small guy, and then I had one of those setups where I had to carry them, and it had a front load and a back load.
Yep.
So you've got just
Mhm.
it was like twice the size as me. I was carrying so much, it was
And then
heavy.
the Sunday papers were like, "Oh, that's
They're
brutal, dude."
huge,
Yeah.
and, you have to sit there and do all that stuff, prep them and tie them together and do all that stuff, and then you have to deliver everything on time, and
Mhm.
which was hard, and my thing was, A, it was hard to walk with all that shit, but that wasn't the main problem. Dude, it was bullies
Oh,
because
yeah.
and this is why I got fired, because some people weren't getting their papers because bullies would they'd see like a 10 and 11-year-old paper boy, easy target, and they'd be like these 14, 15-year-old kids, and they would like take your papers and yank you down from behind like it's a book bag or
Mhm.
whatever, and just whatever. And then dogs is a real thing, dude. Dogs, you ever been chased by one of those fuckers?
I'm gonna wait until my story, and I'll go.
Okay.
So,
So basically it just became such a hassle, and eventually my house got a phone call from my boss saying, "Yeah, I don't think he's a good fit. He's probably just not ready for the workforce," or whatever it was, and I got fired. But I'm like, fucking fire my ass. It's like if people left you alone and I could just
mhm.
actually deliver the papers, it's not so bad. But it's like the game Paperboy. It's like you got to deal with other outside threats. You got to deal with fucking dogs. You got to deal with bullies, you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, anyway, didn't last long. I'll tell you really quick. I only got one paycheck, and I used that paycheck to buy Mortal Kombat 4
Oh,
on the
nice.
on Nintendo 64. So anyway,
Nice.
continue.
So yeah, going to my first job, which is a paper boy as well. I think I was a paper boy for 2 years, I believe.
You
Maybe when I
lasted.
was,
Wow.
yeah, maybe 12, 13, and 14. And I eventually got fired. The shitty thing about paper boys back then is they dropped off the papers about 4:30 or 4. You had to get up and wrap the papers right away. So you're up, whether it's cold, hot or raining or whatever. You had to
Mhm.
wrap them up, and then you had to get them out by, I think, like 8 a.m. or something like that. They had to be on the porch, or else people would complain. Everybody complained, like they'd call in, like, "Where's my paper at?" They used to complain that the paper wasn't in the right spot. Like each house wanted their paper in like either a mail hook or inside the doors
Yeah, that was
or
I got those too, those
all
complaints. Yeah.
all that crap. They never gave you any tips. Um, I mean, it was a shit job. I think I got paid like $40 a week, or
Mm.
every 2 weeks or something like that. I had dogs chase me. I had people messing with me. A dog that actually bit me in the ass when I was on my bike, a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
So no, it was, and so yeah, I'm biking. I'm throwing the paper, and then a Rottweiler. He's just in the front yard off his leash. I ride away from him because he starts chasing me. Comes up, takes a chunk out of my ass, and then I just speed home. Then I contact the cops, or and the paper company and stuff. And I had to go in and get tetanus shots, to make sure and all that crap, rabies shots or whatever, just to make sure I didn't have it. Or I don't know. They took the dog in too, but the dog got quarantined. And yeah, after that, the guy just treated me like shit. It's like your dog bit me. What the hell, you
Yeah,
know?
so and that's surprising that he treated you like crap because, I mean, if you wanted to press charges, that dog would have been put down.
Hmm.
Like, you had all the power in the world to put that dog down, and it sounds like you didn't, and you didn't press
No,
charges, right?
no, I
So,
didn't.
was this your idea being that young to be like, "Oh, I better call the cops," or was, like, your mom or whoever saying, "No, we gotta."
My
Yeah,
mom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did your mom not wanna press charges or whatever, or was she your mom probably didn't wanna make
she's
unnecessarily trouble.
she was broke. I mean, she didn't. I mean, what is she gonna get a lawyer and all that stuff too? Or how did that work? Just press charges and they take the dog down? I don't know, but
Well,
yeah,
basically, lawyers will give you free consultation, and if they take the case, they don't get paid unless you do. So your mom didn't have to have money. He could have been like, "Well, that's a suit we can win. I'll take it, and then I'll collect my payment when you get your settlement." So your mom could have
but
pressed
they didn't.
charges.
Yeah, we should have, because they didn't even pay for like the hospital visit or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
So
that's bullshit. And
yeah,
like I said, the guy had the audacity to treat you like crap after that because
yeah,
he should have been kissing your ass because it's not like you pressed charges.
I know. Yeah,
Because the dog would have gotten put down.
they should have. I mean, there's no
Well, they say
excuse for
once
that.
once a dog gets a taste of blood and flesh, dude, it's like that's why they usually put them down. It's like because now they're more apt to do it again.
Mhm.
Especially, I I there's that argument that people have, people that are real big pet, and I'm an animal guy now myself. I never used to be, but there's those people that don't believe in species being more aggressive than others sometimes. Like, there's the
Yeah.
whole pit bull
Oh,
controversy.
absolutely. I've
Like,
never had
no,
one.
it's about the trainer and the owner. I'm like, man, can it be a little bit of column A and column B? Because you can't tell me that there's the statistics. You can't tell me that pit bulls are not just a more aggressive or a type of breed
Oh, they
because
have in
they
their
are.
blood. Yeah.
It's different. Dude, we're dealing with the pit bull situation. My girlfriend's family and her mom, they took in a pit bull, an adopted pit bull, and there's been 3 instances in like 2 months with this pit bull. Now, to the pit bull's credit, it's very sweet, it's very nice. I don't hold anything against this dog because all these situations have been instigated. It's
Mhm.
not like it's looking for blood. But,
Mhm.
when a little dog is off his leash in their ghetto ass neighborhood and it starts trying to like a chihuahua, if a chihuahua comes up to him and he's fenced in and he's trying to fuck with them, because that's how little dogs do. They got
Mhm.
no bark and they got all the bite. Yeah, okay, then the pit bull's gonna go into aggro mode.
Mhm.
And also somebody somebody I think somebody broke in on their property and was taking something, and the dog attacked him.
Well,
And
that's
I'm like,
fine.
"Let's." Well, but still, he's like trying to. He's trash. He's one of those people that's trying to sue, but I'm like, you're trash. You don't.
Yeah.
This is what I'm not trying to sound like an elitist because I'm not an elitist, but let's face it, that's something poor trash says.
Oh, yeah.
Poor people and poor trash are different.
Yeah.
You could be poor and not be trash, but poor trash, they always say, I'm gonna sue when they don't know the first thing about suing and they
Yeah.
don't know the first thing about calling a lawyer or if they even have rights.
Mhm.
Like, "Oh, you mean," and then same thing, with this people with the dog. They had their dog off a leash and it came onto their property and the dog fucked it up. The pit bull fucked it up, man. He had blood running down and whatever. He didn't kill it, but he was fucking with it. And they have it on Ring camera. They have this like this couple who owns the dog and they're just trash. They're yelling at him like, "Oh, we're gonna sue you. That's our dog." And good luck, man. It's all on
Yeah.
footage. You got they were this dog was trespassing that you didn't have on a leash.
Mhm.
They're not going to put down. They tried calling animal control to have it taken away when they weren't home. And the animal control's like, I can't take this person's dog. They're not home. Like, I can't just take a fucking dog that's
Yeah.
behind a fence. Like, what are you guys, poor trash? You guys, like, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
No, and the way growing up, a dog bites somebody, you go and put it down. Like, I mean, if
yeah,
my dog bit somebody, I would go put it down. It's not worth it, man.
the pit bull, the third instance, another instance involved another dog, but one instance involved a person. But once again, it wasn't this pit bull's fault. So I kind of feel for it because it is otherwise sweet and nice. And but they are more aggressive because I have my dog would never do that. If my dog was in the same situation, he might growl and bark, but he's a pussy. He's gonna run away. He's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Basically, somebody on the property, one of the guys that lives there, his brother was staying with there temporarily. He got really loaded. They all got drunk one night and they started fighting. And he started wrestling with his brother, who's the dog's owner. And the dog went to his defense because he was getting attacked. Like they were in a drunk brawl, and he
Mm.
attacked him, the guy that was attacking his owner. And then he punched the dog in the face, and that just made it worse. I'm like, I'm sorry, like this. You don't put the dog down because of that. It's
Yeah.
but you should chain it up. You should do whatever you got to do. You got to.
Oh, absolutely.
They're just obviously more apt to not take shit. It's the equivalent of I'm not going to break into Mike Tyson's house and then sue him for beating the shit out of me for doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I might break into somebody else's house that might not put a bullet in my back. They might, they might be more passive, but it doesn't matter. I still committed the first act, whether or not, somebody on the other end decided to fucking take the law in their own hands.
well, and the thing is about dog owners is they think their dog's never going to do it. Like, if somebody comes over to my house and they
Mhm.
want to pet the dog, they pet him on the back. I tell them not to pet her on the head. She never bit anybody before, but I don't want to take that chance. Like kids and stuff around that. It's like if she's gonna bite me someday, she's gonna bite me. But yeah, I don't want to put myself in that situation. That's why the neighbor kids come over. I don't want them petting my dog. I mean, unless I'm there like holding the dog.
Yeah, and
That
it's
sort of
not the
thing.
dog's fault necessarily because
No.
kids aren't necessarily going to know how to approach a dog. They might approach a dog aggressively, not meaning any ill will, but the dog doesn't know what's going on. You
Yeah.
got to talk to a dog. You got to like,
Hmm.
show that your friend and touch it a certain way or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, if you just come up on a dog, if you just come up to me and start rubbing my face without any warning, I'm gonna go on the defense too. Like,
Absolutely.
so yeah. And then you meet those curmudgeony old bitches that will take you to court and get your dog put down and stuff like that. There's a story, my buddy Randall, he shared that was like it was just some local story from where he lives in Dublin. And it was about this. Oh, dude, it was actually making me shed a tear, man. It was this old widow. This guy's like 85 years old, and his best friend's his dog. It's just
Oh.
one of those stories, man. And some stupid bitch came on his property. And the dog, she tried touching the dog, and something happened where the dog did nip her. It wasn't even a big deal. And this is a case of I saw a picture of the dog. It was like the oldest looking basset hound. It was not a it was not a threatening animal at all. And you know, he tried to do everything right and help her out and take her to the hospital. She felt like she needed to go to the hospital, and of course, she's running the gamut and trying to sue him and put the dog down. And the courts took the dog, and they're going to put him down. And he was trying to get signatures, and it was breaking my heart. He's like my only friend. He's like I've got nobody else. Don't let him kill my dog. Let's like this is I'm trying to get this to the judge, and I was like, oh, it's breaking my heart, dude. Some lonely old guy. Everybody's died, and you don't know what that woman did to maybe cause the confusion that made him do what he did.
Well, that's why she shouldn't even touch the fucking dog. I don't go over to people's house and touch the dog unless I can tell that the dog's not gonna, and I'm not gonna like pet it on the head or whatever because you never know what it's gonna do. I mean, you didn't train that dog, so
And of course, this guy was stating that he's never bitten anybody. He's the nicest dog, and I believe him. It's like, yeah, it's like it sucks that unlike people, a dog doesn't get like a warning shot, or if something like that happens, it's like, oh no, so if somebody complains, we got to put him down. Doesn't matter if he's never done it before. It doesn't matter the circumstances that led to what happened. There's no, because a dog can't give his side of the story, you know.
No, which I mean, you probably should put him down, but it's the bitch's fault for actually going up to pet the
You
dog.
think they should put that little dog down?
A little dog? I
It's
don't
it's
know. I
it's a
mean,
little dog, dude, that just it's a guy that's retired and he's widowed and everybody around him's dead, and he's just like he's just living a quiet life till he's living out his last years with his dog, his
I don't
companion.
know if they should put it down, but I'd be pissed off at the lady though for actually going up and trying to pet my dog.
I don't think you should put anything to why does it always have to go straight to putting something down in every situation? Like, look, case by case. The judge should review the case and be like, "All right, if anything, keep it you have to keep it on a leash or you gotta keep it inside something." Like, it's just funny how you go straight to death no matter what for every situation, so
Well, for animals, yes.
and this is where the argument comes in because it's like, oh, why would you treat a pit bull any different? It's like, yeah, I get it. I would treat a beagle differently, and most people are like, yeah, I get it. A bloodthirsty pit bull, depending on where it was raised, yeah, that's a different story than like a beagle. I don't know. It is what it is.
Breeds. I don't discriminate against breeds. I think they should. You bite a kid, you should be put down. I mean, an old lady that's an old Karen. I really don't give a shit. But yeah, if you bite any kid, you should be put down. My opinion.
Uh, Case by case. My good friend out here, his dog bit me in the ass a couple years ago. Took a chunk out of my ass. He was hanging on my ass like a cartoon. He would like, get him off. And he drew blood. He ripped my shorts, dude. Just like in the
Mhm.
cartoons and shit, like Mr. Jones and stuff. And I wasn't an asshole. This dog's an asshole. This dog is a rescue dog, and it's just always like that. And it doesn't matter how many times he's met me, how many times I've interacted with the dog, I'm his worst enemy, no matter who it is. And he took a chunk out of my ass one time, and my buddy just apologized and gave me $20 for the shorts, dude. And I mean, I'm not gonna be an asshole. Like, I'm not gonna have my friend's dog put down. I told him, like, you're lucky that was me, man. You're lucky that happened to me. That's all I can say.
I would have got more than $20 out of him.
I don't know. But anyway, so next job, is that where your paperboy job ended? How'd you get fired?
So I was So my parents were divorced at the time, and to actually get somebody to do your route, it was like so fucking difficult. I couldn't find anybody to do my route while I was out of town at my
Mhm.
dad's. So we called and told the paper that we couldn't find anybody, blah blah. So we're not going to be delivering it. So they dropped off the papers to my mom, which I was out of town. She's like, "I'm not fucking delivering these things." And then they came back like 2 hours later saying like, you need to deliver these papers. And then I guess my mom took like the bundle of papers and threw them out in the front yard, and they all went everywhere for the lady. And then the lady told us, "Yeah, your son's fired." So
What was
she's like, "I'm
your
not delivering this shit."
what was your response? Like when you got home or whatever?
So basically, she got me fired, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her. It's not her job either,
I know it's the papers. I
Are
mean,
you
because
not
they
allowed to call
contacted
in
me.
sick? Is it like with the
No,
paper?
maybe one day, but I was out of town for like 2 weeks, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. What do they do? Because kids go on vacation with families.
You're
Like, what
supposed you're
happens?
supposed to you're supposed to find somebody, a friend or somebody that can actually do it, responsible
But
person. But
so
if
it's
you
a friend.
can't,
It's a friend that doesn't even work for them yet. Like you have a buddy and you introduce him to your boss, type of
uh,
thing.
I think back in the day, you contacted the paper and told him to deliver it to a certain spot because you're gonna be out of town. So deliver it to such and such, and he'll do it. But yeah, I can't remember. I mean, that was like what 30, 30 some years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah. And I wonder how that worked out. Like you still got paid and it was on you to pay your friend. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
don't imagine they would go through the whole
No, yeah, you had to pay my
to
friend.
fill W forms and shit like for a temp guy.
Yeah.
So my next job was my I consider my first job. I don't really count the paperboy thing. That's like I don't know, a practice run. But I got a job at Toys R Us when I was 16, and it was a seasonal job, and it was the Toys R Us in Oakview Plaza in Omaha, Nebraska. And man, what a good time. And I got this job out of rebellion because I mean, I'm not going to go into. I've been on record with saying my home life was shit, and I wasn't allowed to do anything. Anytime that I did anything, it was against like my father's will and permission,
Mhm.
right? So anytime we were hanging out after school, I was going to hear about it, and I just eventually just started dealing with it, and and you know, and that's also a reason why like I didn't want you to drop me off because I'm telling you, every time I was out and you would have been dropping me off, I wasn't supposed to be out. My dad was going to beat the shit out of me. So anyway, I was told straight up I couldn't get a job because it was my job to take care of all the kids they were pumping out like fucking crackheads, right? So no offense. And but anyway, I just decided I eventually learned. I'm like, you know what? This is bullshit, man. Like what are they really gonna do to me? What are they really gonna do to me? Eventually, I have to just do something and take action because at this rate, I'm gonna be. I'm never. If I did everything they wanted me to do, I would never leave the house. I would just be a permanent babysitter. I would never have a life. So I went after school. I remember one of our mutual classmates had got a job there, and he told me about it. And I just went there after school and I got the job and I came home with balls swinging and just told both my parents, "Yeah, I got a job. I start Monday or whatever." And guess what? They didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But it's not like it wasn't completely selfish. Like I just wanted somewhere to go and I wanted to do something. I just wanted to get out of that house any chance I could. And so I gave them almost all the money I made. It had
Oh,
nothing to
really?
do. Yeah. The first paycheck I ever got was the sweetest thing ever, man. I had never made my own money. And the first thing I bought with my paycheck was a copy of Bill and Ted's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on DVD, and my own 2 liter of Pepsi because I never had my own drink. My own drink. Because I'm telling you, dude, my house, we'd have like a 2 liter that my dad would buy, and he would like, nobody touched this 2 liter. This is mine. And then we'd sneak it because we had nothing to drink and we want the sugar, dude. So in the middle of the night, we'd like, or if he's at work, we'd like, I'll just he won't notice a little sippy sip is gone. But then he would like bust us the next day, be like, oh yeah, you think you're slick, don't you, motherfucker? And he'd be like, he marked the line with a
You didn't pour
Sharpie.
water into it, dude?
Not the Coke, dude. It's not liquor. I did that. But but no, and he marked the water line, of where the soda was, so
Oh,
he'd catch
jeez.
us. So anyway, I bought my first Pepsi. So I bought a movie, I bought a Pepsi, and I bought a bag of Doritos. That is all I bought.
Mhm.
The rest of it I gave to them.
Ugh.
And it didn't matter. Dude, I had such a great time going home in my little room and I watched Bill and Ted eating as many Doritos as I wanted to with nobody fucking complain, drinking as much soda to rot my teeth, dude. It was awesome. It tasted like freedom. It tasted like shitty food and freedom, man. And and then I think the next paycheck, I would buy me like one thing and the rest of it went to them. I think my next paycheck I bought Tekken 4 on like PlayStation 2 or something. I don't
Mm.
know. But yeah, I took the money that I made from that job and I bought my dad a car. I
Mm.
bought my dad a car because we didn't have a car and he didn't have a car, and I bought him a piece of shit car. And but I still I I just wanted a place to go. The job itself was fun. I love the holidays. I like the environment. I liked being around the kids, being excited about Christmas, and I felt like I was working at Duncan's Toy Chest, dude. It was awesome.
What department did you work in?
I worked. I bounced around. I did do cashier a little bit. I worked in the video game. Well, I I worked on the floor. I don't really remember which department I was dedicated to, if it was like the action figures and all that shit, the boys. And I did cashiering. And during Black Friday, I got to work in the video games. Just during Black
Mhm.
Friday, I got to assist the main guy that worked over there. And that was cool. I really liked that. But yeah, it was really busy, but I didn't know anything else. It was fun. It was cool because almost everybody that I worked with was around my age. Um, I just never interacted with older kids, right? Only people I knew were people we went to school with. So, I was dealing with like college age type chicks and people and guys and stuff, and it was neat. And I remember I had such fond memories of that seasonal job that later in life, which I'll get to, when I wanted a second job to make more money, I'm talking years later when I was working in restaurants, I was like, "Hey, I always love working at Toys R Us. I'll just get a second job there like relive the good old days. And I got a job at a part-time job at a Toys R Us in Springfield, Missouri, dude. I quit after one shift.
Oh,
It
really?
was miserable because it wasn't how I remembered it, because that was my first real job, and then I had gone on to work, years of fast-paced restaurant work, like real fast-paced shit. I could work a 12, 13-hour shifts, and it goes by so fast because I'm just constantly hustling.
Mhm.
And then I went back and I was behind a cash register at Toys R Us on a Monday during the Christmas season. I'm like, I can't, dude, 4 hours felt like an eternity.
Oh,
And I
I
never
bet.
came back. I'm like, I can't fucking do this. So, stuff is always sometimes stuff is better off left in your memories and just how you remember it. But and also I wasn't like a high school kid anymore. I was like in my early 20s or something. Probably like
Hmm.
21, 22, I don't know. Just wasn't the same.
So my next job, on and off, on and off for since the year 2000 to 2011. I worked at a grocery store here locally. Um, and I started off as a cashier, and then I was a bagger, and then I moved to the produce department, and then I moved to a produce assistant manager, a produce manager, and then I went to a dairy manager, a liquor manager. I worked in the meat department for a while. Then I worked in the video store for a little while because back then they had like a video rental store. That was pretty cool. And then they got rid of it.
Did they have the laminates or do they have the empty cases?
Empty cases.
Mm.
So, um, yeah, I pretty much worked there on and off for 10 years. Then I was a grocery manager, a dairy manager. I just pretty much went everywhere to get the most money as I could. But the pay is so shitty looking back at that. I was like, why the hell did I spend 10 years of my life at a fucking grocery store? I
Yeah.
was in college at the time, which helped, but like some nights I worked overnight, some nights I worked like 4 a.m. to noon. Sometimes I worked 2 p.m. to midnight. It really depended on what department I was in, but man, it was terrible.
And looking back, you were underpaid and overworked. And like
Yes.
you would never work the kind of off the wall schedules that you did back then. Just, you said yes to too much probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they knew they had you pretty much. So
Yeah. And I have that job too, where I could talk about that a little bit later. But and I know, like you said, it was off and on because we're jumping the gun, but it was off and on because I remember you had taken stints doing other things. Uh, I
yep.
remember you had moved to St. Louis, which we'll talk about
Yep.
when you get to it. But I have that job too. And do you want to say how that job finally ended? Did you leave amicably or what? And what was your
Uh,
position when you left?
I did. I think I was a grocery manager when I left. I left because I went back to school. I finished on my degree, and I was getting into a new job for my degree. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I left. Everything was cool. So
Working at a place that long though, you have to have a cool story or two, like of some shit that went down that was just wild. Do you have like
uh,
at least one story?
yeah, I mean, kind of crazy. We used to lock people in freezers all the time. I got locked in the trash compactor once. We used to lock people in trash compactors all the time. Hit the button. Um, people used to fornicate everywhere in the store, pretty
Oh,
much. Like all the
really?
employees, all the time.
That's more interesting than the Child's Play 3 trash compactor shit. What happened with that? Did you catch somebody having sex? Did you
Yeah,
ever do something
yeah.
like that?
The majority of people went out to the parking lot, but there's a lot of people that use like the meat managers' offices and they use the managers' offices. Um, after they left for the day and that sort of thing. And this is prior to like cameras. Well, there was cameras, but there's not cameras like there is now. But yeah, everybody was hooking up with everybody pretty much. It was a cesspool,
Yeah,
which is fun.
that's
Fun
the
back
way a
then
lot of those
'cause
jobs are, right? Yeah. That's the fun part about those early jobs is the people you work with and the shit you used to get
Mhm.
away with. And yeah, just having work friends, everybody hanging out or going to functions after work or whatever. And yeah, it was all like you said, a cesspool, just people going through everybody and sometimes even fucking management and shit like that and a bunch of crooked stuff.
I do got one weird story, and I've told you this before. So I used to go to back in middle school. I I was in middle school with this kid, and he was kind of mentally challenged,
Oh,
Asian
nice
kid.
wrist, Todd. You have nice
Yeah,
wrists.
he was obsessed with
Okay.
my wrists, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's like, you got nice. He wanted to like put his fingers around your wrist. But yeah, so he came in and out of the store quite a bit because he knew me. He's like, oh, it's Todd's working in the, in the produce department, that sort of thing.
He was Japanese. He was a Japanese foreign student. So just to give a little bit of context, which was funny because he had the English going on.
Yeah,
So
but he was still like mentally ill or whatever, not all there. And there's a lot of folks that work there, but I was good friends with some of them. I don't discriminate against that. I mean, I used to take some of the mentally challenged people home because they were just cool people, and I felt bad for them. But yeah, this guy came in, and I used to work in the produce department, like chopping fruit and everything. We had to wear latex gloves. So I'm coming in, I'm wearing latex gloves. I'm chopping fruit, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, Todd." He's like, how much for your gloves?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "How much money for your gloves?" I'm like, he offers me like $20 for my gloves, my sweaty, stinky gloves that I've been chopping fruit in all day. Um, and I think he was gay, or bi, or I don't know, whatever. But basically, I wasn't the first person he asked to buy the gloves, and I'm pretty sure he was probably doing some nasty shit to the gloves when he got
yeah,
home with
jacking
them.
off in those gloves or whatever.
Um,
Regardless, at that point, he's a glove-asexual dude. He's just into gloves and hands and shit, dude. I mean, I don't even know if that. I think that transcends a particular sex. That's just like a fetish, dude. That's crazy.
yeah, so there's like three different people. He knew me at first, and then he started like once I said no, he started going to the other produce guys trying to buy the gloves off of them. Their used gloves. So that was kind of a weird story. I didn't end up selling them because I'm just like, I don't want to have that image in my head. So
Was there
there's
ever
that.
any complaints to where he got banned from the store or, hey, don't serve this guy and put his poster up?
No, we just thought it was funnier and shit.
Oh, it's
So
funny.
I mean, there's tons of people like that come in and grab a magazine and whack off in the bathroom or something like that. I mean, we used to tackle people that try to steal liquor,
Mhm.
and that was back in the day when you can do that shit. Like,
Yeah, like, it wasn't even your job. You weren't loss
no.
prevention. Like, why were you and even loss prevention, they advise loss prevention people not to do that. Like, if they make it out of the store, don't chase them. Don't try and, don't assault them. Don't
Oh,
even do
we
it.
we used to do that. We used to beat the shit out of these people. So yeah, they
That's
they
fun.
grab the bottle, and then my manager calls me up. He's like, "Hey Todd, watch this door." And then people used to like try to get through the door, and we used to like tackle them and shit, like a linebacker. It was crazy, man. It was so much fun back then,
Did they
and
did they
we
ever
weren't.
sorry, did they ever have anybody, like, run and jump under their legs like the woman in Home Alone 2? Like, "Ah!"
No, but we tackled the guy in the mid door, and like it was one of
Uh,
those electric doors, and it was slamming on his head like 10 different times. So it was kind of funny. Like we had him held down till the cops came. The door was like slamming him in the head, and it was a heavy door too.
it's
So
pretty
yeah, it was pretty crazy back then, man. That was probably 2000, I want to say, but yeah, a lot of less rules when it came to stuff like that. Now looking back, it's like, some idiot probably have a gun or something and try to mess with you. But there was so much shit that went on in the grocery store. So many things I had to call the cops on outside. People coming in, crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah,
So nobody ever tried to press charges after they were tackled or manhandled?
no, they just got thrown in jail, man.
Crazy.
No, yeah,
A simpler time, a better
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Now it's like the liar, liar. He sued my friend. He sued my friend.
yeah,
Broke in her house, fell on against it, fell on a knife, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening.
So my next job, after this, I moved to Missouri, and this is where I started my long, torrid love affair with restaurant work. And I eventually got out of this work or dabbled in other stuff and eventually got out of it for good. But for better or worse, I was working in hospitality for, let me think, from 2003 all the way up until 2015, more or less. That's crazy. So I a lot. And by the end of that, man, I had done everything you could think of. I had cooked every kind of cooking, every sort of cooking station. I had been a dishwasher at the start, dude. I had waited tables. I had worked behind a bar. I could run a restaurant, at that point. But my
Mm,
first job, technically, and I'll just go through these real quick because these are like little. When I first moved to Missouri, my dad, he had to start over because he fucked himself. He was working. He used to manage Buca de Beppo at
mhm.
Oakview Plaza. Remember that?
Yeah.
And, he was a regional manager. He went around the country and, well, he actually went around the country opening up new stores and training their staff and training their chefs. And so he was doing pretty well. And he was, he really loved it. But in true destructive fashion, he can never let a good thing go too long. Like that's a whole topic in itself. I guess he just felt like he didn't deserve anything. And eventually things were doing good and he started getting heavy into drugs again, and he just started ripping off the company, shaving off money from the safes and shit like that.
Mm,
All these companies going to, and he didn't technically get fired, but he quit when they were on the scent.
yeah.
Yeah, and so we hightailed it and left and went to Missouri, and basically in the middle of the fucking night, in the middle of the fucking night, dude.
Why?
You don't remember? Just I wasn't at school one day,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do remember now, but why was it in the middle of the night?
dude. We literally left in the middle of the night.
Because the cops were on your tail, or what?
Well, we were going to get evicted. I think they were facing some lawsuits. Probably, and I think a lot had to do with the job. Like they hadn't it sounded to me like they hadn't had enough evidence to really come forward, but they were sniffing around. And him being in the position he was, he knew he knew what they had, and he knew it was gonna happen. So yeah, it was probably a little bit of everything
Mhm.
because he had stolen a lot of money. But anyway, like literally, I remember my mom or parents calling my grandparents in the middle of the night, and dude, they drove up from Missouri the next day and got us.
Oh,
And then
so
I
they
just
left
never,
you there?
huh?
They left you the kids there? Left
No,
you
they took
2 there?
all of us.
Oh, no, I'm talking about your parents. Oh, so your parents picked you
Yep.
everybody up, okay.
So they took us back to Missouri, and my grandfather
Mm,
bought a house for us to live in Missouri, and had a second mortgage, and they basically rented it and paid the mortgage to my grandfather and my dad. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Yeah, literally. I just never went back to school. I never officially dropped out. I just went to Missouri and got my GED
mm.
right away. And technically, I had my GED before all you guys graduated. Technically, but yeah, it was just weird. And
I I do remember that because we didn't see you for, like, a few weeks, and it wasn't out of the ordinary if we didn't see you for, like, maybe a week or something, but, like, a month, and I think maybe I contacted you, or no, I couldn't contact you. You contacted me somehow. I don't remember how, but
well, yeah, because this wasn't cell phone days, really. It's like
yeah,
we left, so we didn't have a home phone. So it's like
yeah,
I probably contacted you when I was in Missouri, dude.
yeah,
And like, oh yeah, I'm in Missouri, dude.
yeah. Because I was probably still hanging out with my two friends, and I'm like, yeah, what the hell happened to Aaron? Where the hell's
Well,
Aaron? It's been like a
and let me t-
month.
and let me tell you. So, gosh, I remember it was I it was before second semester of junior year. I didn't
Mm,
go. My last time going to our high school was freshman year, or sorry, first semester of junior year.
mm,
And then I just, like I said, I just got my GED as soon as, I got my GED when I was 16. I just got that and said, what the hell? Anyway, so my dad had to start over from the ground up. He got a job as a SpongeBob SquarePants short order cook at Village Inn. He went from being this guy getting flown
yeah,
around the country to just making minimum wage.
mm,
And this is all his own doing.
mhm,
And I remember he got me a job there, and it was my next job after Toys R Us, and I was just washing dishes.
mhm,
And I remember I was doing an awesome job, and I was actually kind of happy about it because wow, my dad can see me working, and I could do a good job, and maybe he'll be proud of me. Like I'll make him look good. And I remember, yeah, everybody loved me, and for like a split second, my dad was actually treating me well because everybody at the work liked me. And I remember, I think that lasted a weekend, and I remember him coming home from work, and just coming through the garage and just with his head down, and my mom's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, it's a dark day." Like, "What's wrong?" "You're fired, Aaron." Like
oh,
like
wow,
the boss made him fire me. He's like, "No, it's not. They love you." He's like, "But, well, basically, I think they found out I wasn't old enough to work there or something."
Oh, okay.
I how old was I? I mean, yeah, I was 16, but maybe they hired me with ignoring the actual company law being 18 or something in
Gotcha.
the area. I don't know what it was, but they had to let me go. And so I got a job at a Burger King. Have you ever worked fast food ever?
No.
So I don't recommend it. But you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, if you can avoid it, I then walked up and got a job at the Burger King nearby. And I walked in and I remember, dude, and this is before I knew who the AVGN was. This motherfucker looked just like the AVGN. This
Mhm.
guy who interviewed me. And looking back, he was probably just a couple years older than me, dude. He was like a manager of a Burger King, just basically a kid himself. And he hired me on the spot. And then I started the next day. Man, I worked a shift and a half. I worked a full shift, dude. Fucking dog shit. Did not like that at all. And I saw I saw the quality of food these places pump out and how they operate. And worst of all, the people that work behind those counters and what they do with the food and how they handle the food wasn't good and it was miserable. And so I worked a full day and night and then I came in for my next shift. And in the middle of the day, I took a lunch break and I went across the street and got a job somewhere else and then quit
Mm.
because it was miserable. And I went to this sub place that was a knockoff of Subway called
Mhm.
Sharp's Way. And it was owned by this guy named Reggie Sharp. He's like, yeah, this is Sharp's Way. And that place, dude,
Hopefully, you didn't
I'll
end up
just,
like Jared.
no, dude, I feel like he was. So this
Okay.
guy looked like a fucking Play-Doh file. That's what we say to avoid the censorship. He looked like one, and he was like in his 50s, maybe. And it was his business. So he was a crotchety old guy. He was cheap. He would hire one person, just me, like one person at a time, to do everything, to handle his drive-through, to make all his food, to handle people that came in the store. And he got a lunch rush because the food was good. He made all the bread in-house, him and his sister.
Mm.
His sister worked for him. She'd come in and she would bake everything fresh. And it was just the best fucking bread I've ever had in my life. And he only paid his sister minimum wage, which at the
Oh,
time was like 5.15 an hour.
yeah.
And so it's just like, and she came at the fucking crack of dawn, just baking bread. Anyway, this guy treated me like shit, and he would spend his entire time in his office, I swear, looking at porn and jerking off. And really creepy. And I remember one day I just had it. This guy worked me to the bone, man, because he wouldn't hire anybody else. He was paying me minimum wage. He would work me open to close, and he would tell me to go home for 2 hours in between the shifts. Right. So like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody. I was new in town, so it's like, oh, what else do I got to do? Really, that's kind of the way I felt. Like, what else do I got to do?
Yeah.
And but yeah, and eventually I wasn't so much burnt out, but I came there on a weekend and I was there early in the morning. I was like deep cleaning the place, and he was a constant asshole, man. And he was giving me a hard time about something, and I don't remember what it was. It was always he was not a nice guy, and I talked back. I eventually
Mm.
talked back. It was something about cleaning or whatever. He wanted me to do like 5 million things at once for no pay. And eventually I snapped at him, and then he fucking snapped at me. And he's like, either you do it or no job. He literally did that. And I was like, oh, fuck you, motherfucker. And then I stood up and I caused a big scene, dude. I walked out of the back of that place, knocking over everything possible, dude. Then I walked out of the front restaurant, dude. I fucking knocked over a soda cooler, and then I fucking knocked over the potato chips and threw them all over the place, dude. Caused a big fucking scene because this guy was a piece of fucking shit. I was just, it's
That's
like
always the best.
I was the
I love
nicest guy.
quitting like that.
I was the nicest guy in the world for 4 months, dude, getting work, but his only employee. And this fucking guy he just treated me like shit nonstop. And I took it because I grew up in a house with someone like my dad. So I just learned to take
Oh yeah,
abuse.
yeah. Mhm.
And anyway, the worst part about that job was I told my dad, I said, yeah, I don't work there anymore. And I told him what happened. And instead, you think a dad would give someone like his kid the benefit of the doubt of like what I told him was going on at this place. The guy was verbally abusive all the fucking time and just
Mhm.
a terrible person. And he went into there after I had quit on his way home from work or something. He stopped in and talked to him. First of all, cringe,
Yeah.
embarrassing. Why? This is my fucking life. I don't want your life.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is what he said. It's like, what did you say? He's like, I walked in there and I just wanted to know what happened. And I asked him, and I said, "What happened?" And he says, "Well, your son, he was a really good worker. He was And of course this guy put on a different demeanor in front of my dad, who's like
Mhm.
fucking
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Incredible Hulk, dude, and would have beat the shit out of him. But he goes, "Well, your son was a really good worker. He's really good at cleaning, really good at everything. He just had a mouth on him." Which, by the way, Todd, is bullshit. I never had a I have only had a mouth on me until the very end.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just docile and I fucking took the abuse. And then my dad, instead of defending me, he goes, "Yeah, that sounds like him. All right, bye." Like, you fucking
Jesus.
teamed up with the enemy and you just high-fived him basically? What?
Yeah.
What? So, both of them were pieces of shit, and they're both probably dead now. Freddie Sharp's probably dead, dude. I don't fucking know. But fucking terrible, man. And I remember his signature sandwich, dude, was like a sloppy Joe on a sub, like in a hoagie.
Oh,
Like
that's not a
a
good signature sandwich,
It's
man.
like a cheesy sloppy Joe. Anyway, he called it the Cheesy Joe, which sounded like a sex move. Like, "Oh yeah, I want one of them Cheesy Joes." Like, how do you want it, sir? Where do you want it? You want it on your chest? Where do you want the Cheesy Joe, dude? But terrible guy. I'd like to look him up and see if he's in prison yet for fucking little kids or something.
There's a lot of Randy Sharp mugshots online.
Reggie Sharp, dude.
Oh, Reggie, yeah, okay.
Randy Sharp, dude. And since I have a few more new, I'll just kind of bust through a couple more. But this is where I quit there, and then this is where I went to my grocery store, your equivalent, the place that I spent quite a lot of time at. I went to this restaurant called Zio's Italian Kitchen, dude, and I was still 16. My mom was working there, and then I got a job as a dishwasher, and everybody loved, dude, I was a little workhorse, man, and in fact, it actually started off pretty good. I was making minimum wage, and dude, I was working circles around the rednecks. They'd get to come in there and just they'd quit, dude. We'd have a busy ass shift on the weekend, dude, just flooded with people and dishes piled to the ceilings. These people would always go in the middle of the dinner rush and be like, "I'm gonna go out for a smoke," and they would just leave, and they never come back from their smoke break. They just took off, and it happened every weekend. So it's like it got to a point where they'd be like, "I'm gonna go for a smoke." I'm like, "All right, have a good life. Nice working with you for 2 hours." I knew what it meant. It was like
Yeah, yeah,
man of the house,
yeah.
wave goodbye, dude.
Yeah.
Slow motion. And anyway, they gave me a raise, dude. They gave me a raise to like $8 or 8.25 from like 5.15 in the matter of like a couple of weeks, which is good back then. But this is the job that took advantage of me. I worked there for 3 years and I didn't have any real solid work experience. So I didn't know how to say no. I thought this is how it's done. I thought all jobs are like this because that's the way it's portrayed on TV and in the movies. Jobs are supposed to ride you hard. You're not always supposed to like your boss. They're supposed to be assholes. So I just accepted it as normal.
Oh, yeah.
And
I did
dude,
too, yeah.
they took advantage of me so bad, man. Like I was the guy that every time they asked me to work a double or stay or close, dude, I would work open to close shifts, and then I'd work open to close shifts back to back to back. And I
Is
never said
Well,
what?
because you think you're gonna get a raise, like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm gonna get a raise
exactly.
after this."
They
All that.
kept dangling this carrot like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah." They said, "Well, here's how we do it here. You get an evaluation every year, and every station you learn, every new thing you learn, you get a quarter raise." So I'm like, I kept just saying yes to everything, and I kept learning
Mhm.
everything, thinking they're gonna give me more money. They
No.
never gave me more money after that first raise, and I got one evaluation after 3 years, and they gave me a nickel.
Oh.
Dude, and it was absolutely crooked, and I just kept saying yes because, yeah, I thought I was raised to think, "Oh, hard work, this is how you do it. Hard work, it shows through, and you'll get recognized, you'll get a raise." And no, in fact, I was just getting taken advantage, and I never understood. I looked at everybody else there that had fixed schedules. Oh, like, that guy doesn't work nights, he only works and I didn't understand it, like, "Oh, these guys are slackers." Like, no, because they would never do that to me. There was a point where it went too far where if I tried to get some kind of time off, oh no, there's no flexibility for me. I'm the workhorse that works like crazy. But they'll hire someone that day that says, "Hey, I can only work days. I can only work these days and day shifts," and they'll give it to them. And it just goes to show it's like, no, you got to know your worth. And it really taught me. It's like, no, what do you want? Tell them what you want. negotiate. Don't do this fucking bullshit and bend over. But they take advantage of like kids. I was a kid, you know?
Oh yeah, they do take advantage of kids. I mean,
Dude,
took advantage of me too for the
it
longest
was
time.
normal for me to work 6, 7, 8 weeks, no day off. 6, 7,
Mhm.
8 week of 60-hour weeks, 60 plus hour weeks.
Yep.
I'm talking show up at 6 a.m. to do the truck, and
Yep.
I'm closing up shop and I'm leaving by 1:30 in the morning. And I get to go home and get 4 hours sleep and do it all over again.
Oh yeah, I
And
used to work the 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. shifts occasionally, unloading trucks all
for
morning. Oh god, it's brutal, dude.
I remember we had one assistant kitchen manager. You know, when he was kind of one of the younger guys, he was like 24, so he's a guy. And I remember he would make the rounds asking people to it was normal. It's like he'd walk around with his little clipboard, seeing who could cover shifts. Because
Mhm.
why? People called in every day, and I didn't get it. Like, look at all these people calling in. These slackers are never going to get the raise. And
Yeah, I was
now
just
I
saying.
feel, and I'm like, I'm the clown.
Yeah.
I'm that meme dude, like the
Mhm.
clown putting on the makeup. That's me because these people got sick. They didn't come to work, and they kept their jobs. They knew
Mhm.
their rights. They knew what they could do.
Mhm.
And anyway, I remember this particular manager coming up to me, and he was just kind of doing his job, asked me, "Hey Aaron, can you stay worked and close tonight?" And me, I was like all excited because I actually got to leave at like 4 o'clock. Like this is a day off to me.
Yeah.
Like, God, can I
Yeah.
just leave? And I remember I just had the fucking most ragged look on my
Oh
face,
yeah.
dude. I
Oh
was
yeah.
I was toast. And I remember he just looks at me and goes, "Say no." I'm like, "No, okay." Like he was just doing his job, but he's like, "Say no, dude. Don't you
Yeah.
don't." And then yeah, and that was the first inkling that wow, I am a clown because even this guy is trying to give me warning messages. It's like and yeah, just all the shit that happened to this place, man. I wish I could go back in time and do things differently because I would not let the people walk over me like they did. And I had the worst I quit the first time because it finally got to a point where I wanted to get a second job. I wanted to start breaking away from there a little bit. And there was a new opportunity at a more upscale restaurant. And so I got a job there and I told them, I said, "Hey guys, I'm not quitting." And I was still working there full time. I said, "Hey, I got a job working here at nights. I need to work days now. I've been working here 3.5 years. I need a fixed schedule now because I'm working there." And they I think the guy I told at the time was kind of being passive about it, but I didn't ask, I told. And then the schedule would come out, but it was like a retaliation schedule. Not only was it not the schedule I needed, they made it worse. They cut all my hours and had me working just the hours I was working at my second job. Right? They were sending me a message, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And then I went in and talked to the general manager and I'm like, "Hey man, I can't." And I was always too nice. And he was like, "Oh, I play second fiddle to nobody." Like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Yeah, I
Papa John
know.
himself? Like, are you God? You pay me how much? And I'm supposed to
Yeah.
suck your teeth, dude? Like, "Oh, I play second fiddle to nobody. Like, I am your number one. You don't go back around on me." Anyway, so I told him how it was. And I remember I came to the last week I worked there. They kept scheduling me into my new job, and I just left. I kept leaving. I'm like, "Fuck you
Mhm.
guys." Like, it'd be
Yeah.
time to leave. I would leave early, and yeah, that'd be me walking out.
Mhm.
And, of course, I started getting written up from it. Because like and then I remember I fucking freaked out, and I don't know, I had my little moment to tell him, "Fuck off, and I hate you guy." This guy also, what I never would pass off today, he laid hands on me, dude.
Oh.
He laid hands on me, and I didn't do anything about it. Because once again, it's kinda like your mentality of, "Oh, back in the day, you could tackle people in the parking lot, and you didn't get sued
Mhm.
over it." But dude, I remember, I was so fried. I was so fucking burnt, and I was going slow. I was like, "Dude, fuck it." My morale was all-time low because everybody's morale was shit. The bosses were just totally shit and crooked, and he pulled me aside to the back and was basically asking me what was going on with me and why was I acting so different and why was I performing a certain way. And I told him, I unloaded on him. I said, "Dude, you want my honest opinion?" He's like, "It's you guys." I told him, I said, "Dude, how can you expect us to act any different when you guys do this or do this or do this? How can you expect any of these guys out here to care when you guys don't fucking care?" It is a monkey see, monkey do situation right now at this place. Everybody was at an all time low. And then this guy, he takes his two fucking pointer fingers and he gets in my face and he goes, monkey see, monkey do. And he presses really hard on my chest, dude, like this. And he
Oh,
fucking pushed me. And why did I take that? Why did I take that? Because first of all, he wouldn't do it to 36-year-old me now. He just wouldn't do it because he's
yeah.
one of those assholes that'll only do it to a kid.
Mhm.
But dude, like if let's say hypothetically did, if I could control myself from not fucking knocking him out, I would have sued his ass. I would have fucking cleaned up. I would have had. I don't even want money. I just want to see him fired. I would have got so much joy from that. I would have called corporate. I would have threatened lawsuit, and they would have had to fire him. And I would have fucking waved goodbye to him, like goodbye, Kevin. Goodbye, Kevin Longley, you piece of shit. I'm gonna dox you right now, motherfucker. Fucking beluga whale. Fuck you, Kevin Longley. And he did get fired. That fucker ended up going down a wrong path, and he deserved it, man. Anyway, I get heated, dude. That guy fired my mom too, dude. Over nothing, dude. Anyway, because she called corporate and had corporate investigate him over a bunch of real shit that was going on.
Yeah.
And then they attacked her and then they fired her after they found out it was her. I'm sure they started they got everybody to rat on her, like who's the rat? Who told culprit?
It's her. She did it.
Yeah, like say like nobody wanted to tell because everybody liked my mom, but I always imagined behind closed doors who's like, I'm just gonna look this way and I've got a Zio's Italian kitchen $100 rebate right here. I'm just gonna slide it. Should anything happen to that rebate, I won't say a word. I just want to know who told. It was so evil, man. But and then I spent a little bit of time. I worked at that place I told you about, that fancier place, and that was shit, man. I mean, like that was ran by a bunch of Persian guys that just couldn't handle their business, and their checks were bouncing all the time. Like I helped open this particular restaurant, and we worked for 6 weeks opening it before it went open to the public, and none of us got paid. Why did I take it? Why?
Yeah.
Nobody got paid, and I just kept working there for a while. I'm like, why am I not calling labor boards? Why am I not suing? Why am I not threatening it? I just took it. I didn't get paid. And then the checks started bouncing, dude. I wasn't getting my normal, and I eventually had to quit because the checks were bouncing.
For how many weeks?
We worked for 6 weeks opening the restaurant before it went to the public, and nobody got paid. And then, like I said, all their checks were bouncing and shit. So that was a joke. So I worked there for a few months maybe. And then I went to a sports bar, which I got to say was a really fun environment, dude. Real small staff, real laid back people, good sports bar food, dude. That was a fun job. I got no complaints about that, really. Some good times. And then I'll go into my main job after that I had for quite a while. What was your next job? Is this where you moved?
Yeah. So I was kind of talking about, I worked in a grocery store for 11 years. So in the middle of that, I graduated high school. I moved down to St. Louis with my dad, and I got a job at a pizza place, Italian restaurant. Not open anymore. It was called Two Nice Guys, and he was friends with the owner. And awesome food was really good. They put me as a waiter, which I am not a fucking waiter, man. I was and since I didn't have female tits, I mean, I might have man boobs, but guys didn't get paid anything there, so I got shit tips. It sucked. They moved me back to the kitchen, slinging pizzas, which was fine. I enjoyed that.
Really dirty, dude. You always got flour all over you, dude.
But I don't know if anybody's from St. Louis listened to this, but I hated St. Louis, man. I hated the people there. The kids that went there or that worked there were absolutely shit. I mean, I tried to make friends with anybody I could, but people in St. Louis are a lot different than they are here in the where I'm from, here in Nebraska. Like, people actually cared about your status in St. Louis, like where you went to high school and all that shit, because there's a lot of money that comes from St. Louis, a lot of those schools and everything like that. And I just got treated like the redheaded stepchild.
They probably found out you're from Nebraska, and they assumed you'd probably never ridden in an elevator before. You probably grew up eating nothing but corn.
Yeah, they were asking me if I had internet and all this shit. I mean, yeah, there were those type of people and treated me like total garbage. Guys, girls, all of them treat like shit. I mean, I hate that fucking city now.
Yeah, I remember this
But
one kid we went to school. He was telling a story how he went to like Minneapolis with his family. So yeah, me and my sister were in an elevator at the Mall of America or whatever, and the people asked us where we were from, and we said where we were from, and they asked if this was our first time in an elevator, and it was almost like they were dead serious, like they really were that stupid. Like, yeah, what?
and
But yeah, it's
people are complete assholes, and no, it was tough to make friends there. But it was fine. I put up with it. I dealt with it, and
how
then they
long were
got
you there, and what was your? Did you just need a new change of scenery? Were you hoping it was something cool and you could start a new life there? And just what happened? How long were you there too?
pretty much. I got out of high school. I
Did I lose you? I think I lost him.
Oh, our video feed just went out. But yeah, I went down to St. Louis, and yeah, I got a job there, and yeah, it was. I got into community college there just to go to school, which is stupid. Don't ever go to college unless you know what you want to fucking do.
Yeah.
So went there and then got a job. First time in a restaurant. Hated it, and then they got new management. So my dad's friend ended up selling off the company, and then they brought in new management. And the new manager was a giant. He reminded me of Jeff from Saved by the Bell.
Oh
That
yeah.
Jeff, that
Yeah.
piece of crap.
Kelly's
Uh,
Jeff.
he used to rag me all the time because I was pretty much the only guy server, and
Mm.
I hated serving. And then once I got to the kitchen, he still ragged me. So basically, one of those things, you get fed up after a while. You take the apron, you throw it in his face, that sort of thing. Say fuck you, and you leave. And that's pretty much what happened with that. And then I ended up moving back to Nebraska, which was fine, So,
Did it feel
but
good to be back? Like I'm back to my people. I'm back to where I'm appreciated.
absolutely, at the time, I did. I mean, because I was in my, I was probably 19 at the time. So now that I'm in my 30s, late 30s, it wouldn't affect me very much. I'd probably stay, um, but back then, when you're an impressionable kid like that and getting treated like shit, it's like you want to go back to your what that sort of thing. So
Yeah, and I have a story about that when I get to it in a few minutes. I had my kind of experience like of what you're talking about, but it came a little later. Uh, so we'll have to touch back on it. But for me, after this, I went to a hospital. I had never worked at a hospital, kind of a change of pace. I was still working in food because I was working in the food department. So we did everything from supplying the cafeteria upstairs for just the general people to eat at or the doctors to eat at, whatever. And we also did room service for the patients, worked with the dietitians and special diet meals. And I'd say more often than not, my role eventually became the lead cook, and I took care of all the cafeteria. That was me. And that job was really kind of fun for a little bit. You know how like a job can be cool until somebody really bad gets hired and just changes everything.
that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
That's what happened. Everything was fine, man. We had a rhythm. Now, it was a hospital, so you got to be careful. It's like this is my first time dealing with HR departments. I used to work at restaurants, dude, where it's like people said whatever, dude. Dude, I
Yeah.
worked at a restaurant that last place I told you about. Dude, there'd be a guy on a ladder getting some shit out of the attic where they'd store stuff, dude. They would pants him, dude, pull out his pants and his
Oh
dick would be
yeah.
swinging, like
Mhm.
shit like that. That stuff, nobody got in trouble for that, dude. No stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I had to learn how to like watch what I said because there's like a lot of people that were really sensitive. And there was one person that really wasn't the troublemaker, but she made trouble. She was a lesbian and she clearly had a lot of personal issues, but we were nice to her and she was cool. But I remember I was joking around with my buddy at the time. We were just talking to ourselves while we're doing our work, literally 20 feet away from her where she was at. Because I worked in the tunnels. I worked by the morgue actually. So I always entered through the morgue entrance where they dropped off the dead bodies.
Mhm.
It was I walked in the same doors they'd wheel in fucking bagged bodies. And I got so desensitized by it. And I
Mhm.
walked by the morgue and shit. Anyway, we were just talking. We were working, doing our thing, just shooting the shit. And I think we were asking like that stupid question of, oh yeah, like what's your desert island picks? Like if you could only bring like three things to one person, one album, whatever. On a desert island, who would it be? And my buddy Adam, I think, said, "Oh, it'd be Steve Perry. I mean, he could sing to me. He can keep me warm at night." And it was just making a stupid and just joke. And she somehow heard this from 20 feet away because she was just one of those people that like to listen. And all of a sudden we got reported to HR because we were making fun of homosexuals. Like, what? Because we were making light of being homosexual. Like, what?
That's dumb.
But that stuff happened all the fucking time because with an HR department, they take every claim seriously.
Yeah.
And so you could be that asshole that just makes those false claims to just get people to wear people out, man, to always get them in the fucking HR office and get in trouble and stuff like that. But anyway, that was one thing. But they hired this new person that worked the nights, this new night supervisor that was working with the other half. Like, she had nothing to do with me, and I was leading over my guys. And she was batshit. She started straight up making up lies because at the nighttime, the big bosses left. The head of the department, all these people that were there during the morning, they were gone by 3:30. So from like 3:30 to 7:30, I was in charge, and this person was in charge who really had no real authority over the department. So, but she would just make up bold-faced lies about stuff that would happen conveniently when nobody was around to corroborate. And I don't know what her problem was, dude. It got to a point where I was getting pulled in to the head administrator of the whole department's office, the biggest piece of shit ever, every fucking morning because of something this person said I did the night before. And it got so fucking crazy. Like, she said one time that I was hawking loogies in the deep fryer. I'm like,
Oh
what?
my God. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, and I'm just like, first of all, I was getting upset with some of the people that worked there. I'm like, why aren't you guys coming to bat for me? This is asinine shit, because they didn't want to get attacked either, dude. She was literally like the equivalent to hashtag Me Too, where she was just making up bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it got so stressful, and my job started getting in jeopardy over a bunch of fucking lies. And I kept going to HR, like, what is going on here? And just, I eventually quit. It was insane. It got so unhealthy and so bad that I went back to Zio's. I went back to the old abuser, dude, and I went back there and I talked to a guy I used to cook with, and he was now a manager. And I said, "Hey, I need a job." And this time I negotiated. I was a little bit more seasoned now. I'm like, "Hey, I want this much money. I can cook. I can do this. I need this much money to." And we negotiated, and he hired me on at the rate I was worth. I was like, "Okay." So, and the only reason I took the job is because my roommate at the time, the one that tried jacking off his mouth, he still worked there, and he told me Kevin Longley, that motherfucker, he had gotten promoted to like a regional guy, and he wasn't even in the restaurant anymore. He like showed up once a month and just kind of saw how things, he really wasn't around. I was like, okay, maybe I can handle this. And so I got hired on for my rate that I negotiated, and then I start working. I get my first paycheck. The paycheck says minimum wage, less than I was making before when I left there, right? And I'm like, oh, did I lose him? Oh, I fucking lost Todd. What the hell? Hold on, guys. I got to bring him back. Technology. Oh, he's back.
All right. It kicked me out. Sorry.
No, so real quick, I'll just continue. Yeah, so and I looked at my paycheck, and I was making minimum wage. So it was not only was it far less than I negotiated to come back on, it was less than I left working there the first time. And I went to the office and I talked to this guy. I'm not going to dox him, even though he's a piece of shit too. And I said, "Hey," and they just played it off like, "Oh, guys, a mistake. Like, we'll get this fixed. I'll call payroll and we'll get you comped on the next paycheck." I was like, "Okay." Next paycheck comes, minimum wage, no back pay. And I'm like, "Hey, what the fuck is, come on, man, what is going on?" "Oh, God, I talked to the general. We'll fix this. We'll fix this." Next paycheck comes, same thing. And they keep telling me the same thing, kicking that goal. And I was like, this is bullshit, dude. I fucking walked in there. They were up to their same shit again. And it was retaliation. It was Kevin Longley pulling the strings. Like, oh, this is what he gets for crawling, but they always come crawling back. He thinks he can leave me, and he's like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I walked in there after I got my third or fourth consecutive check of no back pay. And I threw my apron and all the shit in his face, told him to fucking suck a dick. And I made a big fucking thing and I never went back there again. But once again, I should have fucking did more about it. I should have been like, hey, fuck you guys. I mean, I was definitely smarter this time around, but I don't know. I just was so done with it, dude. But fucking people, man.
No,
Underpay.
it's definitely a new era of employee, I think.
Yeah. Well, people are getting smart, dude. People are looking out for their jobs. They don't want to fuck around with the wrong person and get a lawsuit or get fired. But I went from there and I was like, I'm done with this shit. I'm done with this kind of work. And then I took on a new job. I got a job at Alltel. Remember Alltel before they got
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
by Verizon? I got a job. They had an Alltel call center, and I don't even remember where I didn't get referred or anything. I found the ad and I was like, I'm gonna try this. And I interviewed for it. I got it, and it was so funny. Gosh, I don't believe it or not, for some damn reason, I think they wanted an associate's degree to have that job, which now they wouldn't. Now those
No.
kind of the call center, no. But anyway, I lied during the interview and said, "Oh yeah, I have it." Okay, they must. I guess they didn't do a real good background check on me because that costs money. You know, they're not going to do it if you know. And so I got hired. I went into training, and that was great because it's like training was 6 weeks, and it was just easy pay just to fucking hear people talk. And it was more money than I'd made at that point. And I remember all the way, dude, I worked there for almost a year, and all the way up until the end, HR kept asking me, "Hey, can you when you get a chance, can you bring in your diploma? We have to validate that." Oh God, I kept forgetting. I kept playing that card, dude. They just kept letting me fucking kick that ball down the goal field, dude. It was so funny. But
Well,
go
the
ahead.
thing is about nowadays is, or back then actually, probably 20 years ago, is there were there was a lot less jobs, I believe, because
Mm.
a lot more kids were working back then. Now, I mean, a lot of kids are working what we're doing now. They're doing YouTube videos, they're doing social media shit, influencers and all that crap. They're not taking these jobs anymore.
Well,
So
and they're
there's a lot
also
more of these jobs out there, you
but
know?
also just even real jobs that contain these skills. Everybody knows how to edit. Everybody wants to be a video editor. Everybody wants to be um, graphics designers and shit like that. There's just an oversaturation of people that are into this kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't think people want to work in behind fire in a fucking restaurant, you know, cooking for a bunch of assholes and waiting on fucking bitches, waiting on the after church crowd. Some of the
Yeah.
rudest people you ever meet in your life, dude. The after church old crowd, dude.
Well,
It's
and
great.
this kind of moves into my next discussion, if that's okay.
Well, I'll just
Okay.
finish up what happened to this job. So I
Okay.
worked at Alltel, and that was a different kind of stress. I worked there for almost a year, I think. And dude, it was brutal. It wasn't so much the actual customer service aspect, which sucked. It was the sharks that I worked for, because when you work in a call center for a big company like that, you kind of find out that none of the big dogs really, you don't see the big dogs. Everybody
No.
that you're working under is middle management. And you learn that middle management just cares about one thing: commissions. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about your well-being. That's well-being. They just want commissions. How much can you sell? How much can you get me? Because your bottom, what you pull in is my bottom line. So these fuckers, dude, were just ruthless. And they were, dude, I remember I sat down, and this guy, my boss sat down next to me, and these guys were only a few years older than me. They're assholes. He said, "Okay, on this next call, you're gonna sell. You're gonna sell this to this guy." I'm like, "All right, we'll see what's up. We'll see what's going on." And the guy calls in, and this is a guy that literally called in, and he needed to maybe make a payment arrangement because he was getting buried, and he was in the hole so much in his account. He wanted to work out some kind of payment arrangement so we didn't write him off. And he was giving me some sob story about how like his life was going to shit. He just need a hand. I just need some time. The whole world was coming around down on this guy. And instead of letting me read the room, my boss forced me. He said, sell him a fucking like a tower. Because where he lived, like he could use a tower because he doesn't live near any towers. You know, those portable towers they would sell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I told him, I said, I'm not fucking selling this guy. I'd put him on the mute button. I'm like, I'm not selling this. I'm not gonna tell this guy to buy a $400 fucking home tower. Like, are you fucking on crack?
Yeah.
And then that was the beginning of the end. And after that, I'd quit. And I'm like, I can't fucking take this fucking shit anymore. These people are just ruthless. And I quit. I don't remember if I gave a notice or not. I don't think I did. But my shit luck, dude, as soon as I quit, 2 days later after I quit, it was announced Verizon bought them out and they didn't keep anybody on. They gave everybody severance packages and they got fired.
Mm.
And if I'd only waited a few more days, I would have
Yeah.
been they announced it and it didn't take place right away. Like I would have had to have stuck it out for a few more months before the merger finalized. But if I just would have waited a couple more days, I would have gotten like a check for like 10 grand or something. And at the time, 10 grand in like
Yeah.
2007 or 8. I don't remember what. Lot of money, man. And dude, fucking terrible luck. But I went from that job, I went to my dad. I was like, he was working in Branson, Missouri at a restaurant. And I said, Dad, can I come work for you? Because I have to get I'll go back to what I know because I cannot fucking work with these pieces of shit. So go ahead.
No,
Your
I
next job.
well, next job. Well, I went back to college. I want to say I graduated in 04. 2005, 6. I went to a community college for got an associate's in communications at the time,
That's pretty
and
worthless. You regret that?
it wasn't back then.
Okay.
So
No.
it was very communications was a very
It's kind of broad.
yeah, but this is before like the whole YouTube boom and all this stuff started coming up. So news was still king. So I was going to get a job at the news station. And then the 2007 financial crisis hit, and it killed all my job opportunities.
Mhm.
So I was pretty much fucked, and I had to. I worked as a wedding videographer. So at a
I remember
college,
that.
I did that. I shot weddings. I turned around, edited weddings. I showed the wedding footage at the actual reception. That's stressful as hell, man. That was god.
Oh yeah, because if there's anybody that's gonna keep you under a microscope, it's the fucking bride, dude.
You
The people
got
pay.
Yep, you got 2 hours to edit, and then you gotta show the, the physical disc, the DVD at the reception with everything
Mhm.
edited, with the stupid songs in the background and all that stuff of the intro to the actual wedding and all that crap. So, I did that. I also worked for a minor league baseball team, doing, shooting baseball games, which paid absolute garbage. It was terrible. And also, I was a sports videographer for other sporting events. I did that as well. And then 2007 financial crisis, the creative field took a shit. This was prior to YouTube. This is prior to streaming all this crap. There was nothing out there. So basically, I had to weigh my options. What I wanted to do. Do I want to stick this out? Do I want to go in a different field? So I ended up going back to the grocery store, working there for a few years until I could figure it out. And then I want to say 2010, 2009, I went back to school, got my bachelor's in IT, and then never looked back from there because IT, there's always jobs in IT. And I'm glad I did that. That was the smartest move I ever made in my life. So,
I
uh,
gotta ask, how did you
yeah.
feel going back to Baker's? Because let me tell you, when I went back to the Zio's place after I couldn't take that for like I felt like the biggest piece of shit
Yeah.
because I hate going backwards. And I felt like, dude, I am literally reliving the past and I'm going backwards. And I just felt I ate a whole bunch of humble pie. I just felt like shit. I just
Mhm.
didn't feel good about it at all.
And the majority of people did, but a lot of people did come back, and then a lot of people stayed. But I'm glad I got out of there. Once I got my degree, I got a corporate job, um, finished up my schooling, and then I got a job in IT at my corporate job after I moved up in the company, and then I never looked back from there. So got new jobs here and there, new IT jobs, but yeah, it was man, it's tough. It's tough, man. I mean, the creative field is fucking difficult, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to work. I have a lot of friends that work for the local news and all that stuff, and I mean they have trouble finding jobs now. I mean, it's so oversaturated now, and um, there's not a lot of those jobs out there anymore. So I mean, there's a ton of IT jobs. So I'm glad I kind of branched out into the field I'm in.
It's a trade-off. I mean, like, you went into the world of stability. I'm in the world of stability right now too. The trade-off is, at least for me, I mean, you might love what you do. I'm not saying you don't, but it could be a little bit soul-sucking working a corporate job with a corporate structure a little bit, like routine isn't for everybody, but you got benefits, you have job security, maybe, hopefully, and you got
Hmm.
consistency. So that's why people stay in those jobs. That's why a lot of people are happy with those types of jobs. But if you're a creative and or especially if you want to be like an entrepreneur, you want to be your own thing, your own boss, you got to put your balls on the line, and you got to deal with the stress of having inconsistent horizons. You might go through dips of not knowing where the next job's going to come in. Um,
And I did
and
that for so long. And once I got married and had kids, it's like can't do that shit
it
anymore.
changes
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
No, I get it. So for me, that brings you up to date, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So I'll just sort of shotgun the last of mine, but I gotta say, when I went to after I left that phone place and I went to work for my dad, it was called the Pasta House, and I worked there. I think gosh, I think it was just the first year. It was the most fun summer I've ever had in my life. It was awesome, and dude, I gelled with everybody, and even the people I didn't, it was funny, dude, because they were just assholes that nobody liked, and, I just met some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life, and I had to drive up to Branson, and I didn't care. It was like 45-minute drive, and it was a big drive, so it's like, dude, we'd all hang out. We'd all hang out, and all these people lived in, like, motels and shit and hotel rooms, and a lot of them came from Europe and stuff, because a lot of the businesses in Branson and stuff, they all are involved with the foreign exchange program, like work visas and getting people to come and work for probably cheap.
Hmm.
Because these people in Europe or wherever, they go through agencies to hook them up with jobs that are willing to sponsor them to come and
Hmm.
work for work. But let me tell you, I worked with nothing but well, not nothing but a lot of foreign people, and it was awesome because I never worked with foreign people, and that was my first that's what made me wanna travel right there because I was working with people from Serbia, from Russia, from Poland, and it was cool. It was really eye-opening, and we'd all hang out, and they'd all talk about where they're from, and I was just blown away by it, dude. It was just interesting, interesting people, and, had a great time, tons of parties, just tons of hangouts, and I did that, and I think I did it for 1 more year, and once again, it was fun, and we'd have different people every year. Some people would stay, some people would extend their visas, or we'd get, like, a shipment of new people, and it was great, dude, because it was so much fun watching these fish out of water types just, like, come into, like, Bible Belt America, and they don't know where they're gonna get put.
Yeah.
We'd
Yeah.
have people come in from, like, really, really liberal cities like St. Petersburg, Moscow, Russia.
Hmm.
Serbia, dude. These are cities that don't like gay people.
Hmm.
They'd beat the shit out of somebody for being gay in the town square. You know, they're rather racist.
Hmm.
So a lot of them, right? This that in general, the cities. And I can attest, I've been to these places, but so we'd have these people that would come to Middle America, and a lot of them were very nice. They just didn't know, right? They would say like, okay, I remember this one guy from Serbia, dude, the friendliest guy you'd ever meet, super polite, super nice, the kind of guy you'd want to take home to meet mom. Awesome. But he didn't know any better. And we were talking about like they were referencing somebody. I don't remember who it was. Somebody was referencing somebody, and they were black, and they were referencing black people, and he just very innocently goes, "Oh, you mean oh," and he said the N word. Oh, just very casually, like, dude, don't say that. Like, what? That's and where he came from, like, that's just he thought it was normal because, like, as everybody, that shit is so normal where they come from, wherever they just say that about all black people. That's just what they and it was the funniest thing. But I'm like, no, and he didn't realize he was doing any bad. And also, I remember this guy. He came in, this European, on his bike because they'd ride their bikes and walk everywhere. And Branson's just hills, dude. I felt bad. I'd give him all rides as much as I could. He came into the restaurant all sweaty on a hot summer day and asked the person up front, "Oh yeah, can I have a glass of water?" And they're like, "You gonna buy something?" And that was totally weird because in Europe, you go anywhere else, it's just common courtesy. You go in somewhere, they'll give you water. You don't have to
Mhm.
be a customer.
Yeah.
They'll just give you but in America, it doesn't fly like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Arizona, which is against the law to deny people water in Arizona.
Mm.
Fact. In fact, it's against the law, I think. I think if somebody came to my doorstep and asked me for water, I can't deny him, technically.
Mm.
So, not that that happens, but you could go into a restaurant here and I couldn't tell you no. But that was a blast. And then I remember from there, I started traveling. And this job was awesome because it was seasonal. Branson, Missouri was a tourist destination. So they had an on season during the summer, and then it just became a ghost town for like 4 or 5 months. And we all got put on unemployment, which is great because we had jobs. It was like temporary unemployment. So I got to collect a check throughout the winters and spring,
Mhm.
and so I would
That's
spend a
nice.
few I would spend a few months, dude, in the Midwest winters, man, where it's freezing. I wouldn't leave the house. I would stay up morning, night, just playing video games, not shaving, dude. And it was people say they get stir crazy and bored. Dude, it not working is not overrated. I fucking love it, dude. It's awesome, dude. Fucking won't clip my toenails, dude. I look like Jumanji, dude, a big beard. I just all the stuff you never had time to do, and you're getting
Mhm.
a paycheck.
Mhm.
Awesome. And anyway, I would take about 3 or 4 months out of that, and then I would go travel. And I did that for a few years. I went to the UK and Scotland and England. Then I went to China and Japan, and I did all that stuff. I came back a couple years later. My dad died, and then the restaurant rebranded. I needed a job. Eventually, I went back to the hospital. I won't even talk about that because I went to a different wing, and it was actually a much better experience. Actually, worked with different people, similar thing, just worked at a different center on the grounds. And I ended up quitting that job because my dad got sick, and then he ended up dying. And then I took bereavement,
Mhm.
and my mom was just, dude. I was handling all the affairs, and it was a anyway. After they wanted me to come back to work too soon, and I don't necessarily blame them, but I said, I just need another week or whatever. And they're like, no, I was like, you have to come back to work or you can't work here anymore. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not working here anymore.
Mm.
It just is what it is. And so that's when I went back to the old my dad's restaurant, which it was bought out and it turned into a new name. Same building, different company, mostly different people, but that was the best job. And that's the job I worked before I moved to Arizona. And I worked there for probably 3 years. Dude, I had a blast. To me, that I finally felt like that was like my max from Saved by the Bell. Not only did everybody love me, dude, I ruled that place because I technically had all the seniority, dude, because I had history in that building at that point. And everybody loved me. I was in the best shape of my life. Dude, all the chicks loved me. I was at this perfect age of like mid 20s, dude. I was peak. I was prime. Everything about me was just peaking and prime.
Mhm.
And I was jacked, dude. I got to work. Here's what I did. I didn't have to cook. I was simply a food runner, and I was going to school, and all I had to do was go in here 2 or 3 days a week on the weekends, nights. I'd go in at like 4 o'clock, and my job was just to run the servers' food to the tables. And at the end of the night, they had to give me a shitload of cash. Every one of them had to tip me out, and I was awesome. And I was paid hourly, not even like a server hourly. I was paid like ten
Mm.
dollars an hour, and so I would come in there 4, and I wouldn't even have to close, like do any cleaning duties or nothing like that. Everybody else, it was unfair. I'll be the first one to say it was. The servers had closing duties. The kitchen, of course, do they? Dude, as soon as it died down, all right, I'm done. And I would go hang out in the office with my buddy, who was one of the managers, and just shoot the shit until my brother Dylan got off, who I gave a ride. And so I just literally showed up, ran food out, schmoozed with old ladies who hit on me, and then I stopped. And then they also let me burn the clock, dude. So I would
Mm.
sit down and I would just wait for my brother Dylan, who was washing dishes, my little brother. He would have to close. I'd be done by 8, 9 o'clock. He'd work till 11. I would just chill out and hang out, and they let me just stay on the clock, dude. They're like, man, as long as you're not going into overtime, they don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So I was cleaning up, dude. I ruled that fucking place. I loved it. I got to do everything. Um, and so this brings me to moving. I moved to Arizona and I wanted to start over. And this is my St. Louis. Because
Mm.
I went from like, dude, I am the king of this town. I am the king. Everybody wanted to be my friend. Everybody I jived with, dude. I ruled. It was awesome. And then I moved to Tucson, and I struggled to get jobs, dude. I I could not find work. I interviewed I interviewed at so many restaurants and places or whatever that back home I would have gotten hired sight unseen just right there. But no, nobody was hiring me. And then and I kind of realized why. They're probably looking at me like, you have this much experience or you've done this. They're not dumb. They know that like as soon as something better comes along, he's going to quit. This is just a fill the gap job. So I get it. But I think that's the issue I was running into, but I couldn't get anywhere. And then I had to have my, dude, I was ashamed. Talk about setbacks. Do you know what I did? I went from making the money, dude, I was making that last place, dude. Oh, I was making $2,000 a paycheck with my tips too, and I was working 2 to 3 shifts a week, 12 hours max. That's all I was doing. And I was cleaning up, dude. And then I had to just eat crow, swallow my pride. And after I couldn't get a job anywhere, I went to the mall and I got a job at Sears. I got a job. I had to get a retail job at Sears and I minimum wage. And the only reason I got that job is because it was the holidays and they had to hire, holidays. They're always hiring a bunch extra up around the holidays. So it was seasonal. And dude, we're talking about 2015. This isn't like that long ago. It doesn't feel like. And I just needed to work. I was burning through my savings, dude. And like, fuck, I have to get something. And then I remember I worked one day. You know where they put me? The fucking shoe department. I worked in the back of the back storeroom, doing the nails and the shoes, dude, or whatever. Like put
a cobbler.
Oh, the cobbler, dude. This is fucking miserable. And I was working with this other guy, dude, that like came out of the military, and we were just depressed. And the next day I quit. I'm like, I cannot fucking do this job. And then I found a job at some Italian restaurant, which was a little bit more my speed, even though I was past that. Like, dude, I didn't want to I had to go back to cooking. I did the pizza thing. Dude, it was like something out of Kitchen Nightmares because it was this guy's business. It was called Basil's, and his whole family owned it. So he was just like a Kitchen Nightmares guy. You'd see. Total asshole, dude. He threw shit. He screamed and yelled at people, called people he called people like the worst fucking names you could never say anywhere else. Dude, he'd call you the F word, dude. Like the gay slurs and stuff.
Yeah.
And dude, he had the worst temper. Like I remember the head chef, he was going through some marital problems. He was in the middle of a divorce, and he was fucking up left and right. And I remember one time he made all the house-made marinara, and instead of sugar, he put salt. Like, what the fuck? That's like the dumbest rookie. And I remember he found out the whole restaurant of his established business was eating like this really fucking salty. All the pastas were going back. And then I remember when he like fucking tasted it, he freaked out, dude. He was fucking throwing pasta everywhere. I had to duck a few times. He's like, I'm fucking ruined. He was sweating. He's like this Italian dude, sweating, dude. The meat sweats. He's like, fuck you, motherfucking cocksuckers, motherfucker.
It's like George Costanza's dad did.
Dude, it was hardcore, man. And then I found out, like, I ended up quitting that job after a handful of months because I found out they were tipping out the cooks. And this stupid crooked ass chef who was a piece of shit, and not the one that was yelling, he was the chef. That was just a fuck up. He was taking all the money for himself. He wasn't giving it to us. Like, he's supposed to like share it between me and the dishwasher. And he was just hoarding it. The guy that made more money than we did, and I was really struggling, dude. That was the worst year financially I've ever had in my life. I was just trying to skate by. And then when I found out about that, I quit. I'm like, this place is crooked. You guys are all crooked. I said, this guy, he's a chef, dude. He's a guy that did prison time, was a drug addict. He ain't no chef. He's a cook that calls himself a chef. And then dealing with Kitchen Nightmares here and all this fucking bullshit. Dude. And also, dude, nobody liked me. Like, I went from being just a god among men where I worked and everybody wanted to be my friend and everybody liked to hear what I said. Everybody loved my stories. Everybody liked my jokes, my humor. And then I went to this place and I was trying to mingle. Like, hey, I want to make friends. New Year. These were all people around my age. Dude, fire and missing all the time. I'd try and like talk to the wait staff, and there's a prejudice. Like when you're cooking, dude, sometimes the wait staff looks down on you. Like, oh, you must push needles. You're some shitty cook. Whereas like the wait staff's in college and they've got futures. Like literally, legit, that is how the segregation is sometimes. Not knowing, like I've done it all. Like the last place I worked at, dude, I did everything. I was working behind the bar. I was hot to trot. But here I just had to take a job. And dude, I'd try to like mac on chicks. I'd try to like flirt. Dude, Nothing. They looked at me like I was lower than scum. They would not entertain. Nobody would entertain conversation with me. I was a second-rate citizen, dude. I'd try to make conversation. They'd look past me, say like some fucking one word. I just could not believe it. I was so miserable there. I was so
Yeah.
fucking miserable. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this city?
Sounds like my experience. Yeah, it's
Dude, I was like,
crazy.
what is wrong? What is in the water here? Like, what?
Mhm.
People are people everywhere, right? No, like I couldn't find jobs. I couldn't get people to fucking respect me and like me.
Mhm.
I could do. So after that job, I packed up and moved to Phoenix. I quit, and then I just spent the next couple of weeks driving up and down from Tucson to Phoenix, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. And I would just do that every other day. I'd book job appointments and I'd make the drive. I'd go on appointments and until I found a job. And the rest is history. Then I got a job at I got a job at a comedy club when I first got here, and that was just to get me by job. I got a job at some bar. They treated me like shit too. Same thing. They treated me like a second class citizen because I had to take what I could get. Dude, I had to take a job bussing tables. And that's like, God, what have I done? Like, I've worked in this environment for 13 years. I could run this place, and I had to take a fucking and I also did bar backing too. But dude, they treated me like shit. They just treated me like I was a piece of shit. The guy that just got out of prison. I don't know. They just treated me like an asshole. So I left there and went to the comedy club. That place was cool. Really fun. Worked there for 4 months and I got a job at American Express, and that's what changed everything. And that was kind of miserable, but I worked there for a year, built up my experience, made a shit ton of money. Really crooked, kind of all tell again, where you're working with really shitty middle management. That's up to some no good shit. But I used that experience to finagle the job I have today, and I've been here ever since. And I've been here for 6 years, and you know, it never really got shitty. I work from home. I kind of make my own schedule. I mean, it's probably the best next thing to working for myself completely. Like, I'm not micromanaged and I kind of have that flexibility and I can kind of do what I want. I haven't set foot in an office in 5 years. You know what I mean? So, and I make more money than I've ever made. But I feel like I earned it, dude. Like when I
Absolutely.
when I look at my girlfriend, like, well, she'll have issues. She's a teacher and she'll have issues or whatever with her job. She'll be stressing out. And I think sometimes she'll be like, oh, it's easy for you to say you work from home. You don't even have to put shoes on. You get to just work in the house and listen to music. And I'm like, true. I give her all this respect in the world. She straight up has to work harder than I do. But at the same time, I'm like, I earned this, man.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
been through the fire.
Yeah.
I have worked manual jobs. And I can never go back to it again.
No,
I
I would
could
never.
never go
Yeah.
back to it again. Dude, I can imagine what it's like, someone like you that worked retail or groceries or whatever, and you have to do something like restaurants. It's totally a different speed, right?
Mhm.
It, and I was the kid, dude. I could run 10 miles. I could go so fast. I could fucking cook. I could serve the same people. I could do everything. Now I'm so spoiled by the job I have now, where it's like a desk job and I just kind of work at a certain pace, and I'm not working in a coal mine. I'll be honest, right? I don't have to deal with people. I don't talk to people. I
Yeah.
just I if you threw me in a high volume restaurant tomorrow, I don't know if I could go back to it. I'd probably suck. Like I'm a different domesticated animal now.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but like I said, I have trends. I have earned it. I've earned it. So anyway, I can't believe we barely didn't really go over but a minute or two, but fuck me. I don't know if anybody out there that's maybe listening would like to share their work experiences. Maybe you're still going through those experiences. And knock on wood, I'm not saying I'll never have to go through those experiences again. Like, stuff happens. You never know. But and definitely not shitting on people that work the kind of jobs I've worked before. I'm empathizing because they could be tough. So
Yeah.
I never look down on anybody that's just going through their stages in life. The people that have to bag the groceries, or the people that are flipping burgers, or the people that are waiting on you at a restaurant. Like, I've been there and I get it. Dude, like at a restaurant, I tip everybody. Unless
Oh,
you're an
yeah.
absolute piece of shit, terrible person, and you're a terrible, like, you have to really earn me not to tip you, you know? But I get it. And my heart goes out to all those people. And that's also the reason I think why we've stuck around with the podcasting and the streaming as long as we have and never really stopped, because that's the kind of shit that gets people through their mundane jobs.
Hmm.
You know, we've had people in the past tell us, "Oh, I work at this restaurant or I work at this place and I work or I'm a janitor or I'm whatever and I listen to your guys' show." And even if it's just like two people, it's cool. Like that's
Hmm.
awesome because I have those shows. And even though, you know, I get to work in the AC now and I get to work surrounded by toys and bullshit and I I still have the podcast I look forward to. I love Mondays. I normally hate Mondays, but I love Mondays because that's when a lot of people drop new shows. And this is all for a reason, right? They want to ease people's Mondays. They want to ease people into the week with new podcasts. And I love it. I got my routines. I got the shows I listen to every week. And
I'm the
it
same. I'm the
makes
same way. Yeah, Monday through Friday, I have my routine with new episodes and all that. Yeah. So
and
people, yeah, people are helping me out too. So
it helps. It
yeah.
helps. So
Mhm.
anyway, that's all we got. Todd, do you have anything else you want to say before we say adios?
Not really. I think we pretty much covered all the job portion of everything. And no, it's been fun, man. It's go down memory lane again, and that we could talk
I'll,
about this.
I'll end it on the final thought. If you're working one of those jobs, man, if you're working at a shitty place and they treat you like shit, and they won't work with you on your schedule and they won't pay you as much as you think everybody else is paying or the next guy's making, dude, if you assume it, it's probably true. And people take advantage of you. They
Yeah.
they take advantage. So just don't take any shit. You got to
No.
look out for yourself, absolutely. Because if there's anything I've learned, and if there's anything you can take away from the last couple hours, people will see you coming. If you're somebody, because it's a business at the end of the day, if they see you coming and they see a guy they know will take minimum wage and they'll work twice as hard for minimum wage, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, most people care about the bottom line and they don't give a shit about people because you might say, "Oh God, it's like Olive Garden. We're all family. Ah, the people make a company." No, you're expendable. Once you realize you're expendable, you'll start treating that job as expendable in the sense that, look, I deserve to get as much out of you as you're trying to get out of me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Always don't have your 2 feet or 1 foot out the door. Just have other options. Have other options out there where you can come back and pretty much haggle them with the money that you want.
And
That sort of
you're
thing.
not going to get fired for getting sick
No.
and calling in. You're not going to get fired for using your PTO. You're not going to get fired for having a life outside of work and
Yeah.
needing to have to get days off. You know, don't some employers, and I know they exist because I've had multiple that are like this, they'll make you feel bad. They'll make you feel like you're doing something wrong or you're disappointing them or, don't dude, these are people that would not subscribe to that themselves at all.
And hound them for races. Just keep bringing it up to them. Like,
Because
don't settle. Just say, you deserve this. That
because
sort of thing.
the jobs that Todd and I are talking about that we have currently, like I said, it's corporate America. It's got its downsides, but look, these are places where we get plenty of PTO. I never used to have PTO. I
Mhm.
never, if you took off, you weren't getting paid, but I never took
Yeah.
off. Never took off. Now we have PTO, man. They make us take PTO. They
Yeah.
won't let us. It's like you guys have to take time off. And it's for whatever you want. And as far as like sick days, they don't care. Like they
No.
count mental health days. They're like, they don't want to know why. You don't have to explain yourself why you're not coming to work
You
that
get
day.
paid for sick days. Yeah, it's
It's
not a
like
big
if you've got PTO, no questions asked. And the company I work for, they consider mental health a thing. It's like, no, if you just didn't take a fucking mental health day, we get it. Just whatever. This is why you guys get as much PTO as you want or as
If
you
you need to
do.
take an afternoon, you need to take a few hours. Yeah, just
If you
tell
need
them.
to
I
take
mean,
a fucking week and you
yeah,
have it, you take a week. Or It's
yeah.
just it's just what you don't feel bad about it. And another thing about our kind of jobs is there's more structure. It's not the Wild West. Like our we don't call them evaluations. They're more like just cost of living raises every year where there is kind of evaluation. They every single year it's a company wide thing. Everybody gets sort of a weird evaluation. We all get a cost of living raise. That might be 3%, it might be 4, whatever it is that year, determined by the
Well, it
company.
better
But
be
it's like,
8% this year, right? With the
but it won't
inflation
be. It
rates.
won't be.
No,
I
it
could I
won't.
could complain about that all day, but I'm just saying it's a little more streamlined in corporate America and a little bit more across the board. It's not as whereas like at a restaurant or retail, man, that nobody's treated equal. The guy
No.
that knows what he's worth and knows how to bargain, he's going to get more than you. He's going to get a
Yeah.
better schedule than you. He's going to get more money than you. and he's going to be able to take that Saturday night off to go to that concert you want to, but you can't because you're stuck covering for him. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
All right. Adios. Next week, I don't know what we're doing yet, but we'll let you know ahead of time. Thank you so much. Follow the YouTube, listen to podcast, follow the Twitch, like and support, Patreon, all that good shit. Buy a shirt, Teespring, bada bing, bada boom. Bye.